Welcome to a deadline stream for Game Week 20, and Game Week 19 has just been going on forever, but finally it's over. I mean, it ended pretty much on Saturday, but I have been making videos on Game Week 20, haven't done a deadline stream recently, but here we are, and I'll be answering all of your questions and talking about my team. I mean, I've already discussed the transfers I've made, but I can still go into more detail about that. And also in terms of future transfers, I've already got some planned, but it all depends because so many injuries have been happening, like De Bruyne to Manchester City. We'll have to wait and see how they do without him. And same with Jamie Vardy actually for Leicester. I think it's going to have a big detrimental impact on them. And despite the fact you have Maddison, you have Barnes, who are still good FPL assets, we'll have to wait and see if their numbers drop. Because Vardy, despite not scoring, has been instrumental to how they're playing. But I'll be discussing that. Also Rashford, it looks like he's going to be fine for Game Week 20. Even Walker Peters, looks like he could miss maybe a game week or two. And it's really important to have good squad depth. And those of you who have bench boosted and who have a good squad, you're probably in a good position at the moment. And you don't have to make too many moves. I've already made a lot of moves. I've taken hits yet again, which isn't ideal, but here we are. And I'll be discussing and also just engaging with all of you. Welcome NG19, thank you for joining in. Welcome Savage Mode. And these deadline streams, it's been a long time since we've had one. And Game Week 19 is finally over, but more double game weeks to come, and we'll have to wait and see what happens there. NG19 says, Edison, Justin, Creswell, Stones, Bruno, Salah, Maddison, Gundogan, Antonio, Watkins, Kane. Bench boost on De Gea, Soucek, Mitchell, Reed. Any thoughts? The first two are fine for a bench boost, but I'm not sure. I wouldn't bench boost that. This is actually a pretty decent game week overall to use that chip, but with the bench you have, I probably wouldn't use it because Reed and Mitchell, very unlikely that they'll get points. Mitchell could, but with Reed, not too sure. And you could literally, use your second wild card maybe around game week 24, 25, and then bench boost in game week 26, and you would have obviously double game week players on your bench and also of better quality. So I'd probably save the bench boost there, in my opinion. Let's go for, Ryan Patel says, DCL in for Wood for a -4. Don't want to play Neto or Wood, hence I feel DCL may be appropriate, especially when going forward. Thoughts? Yeah, definitely. I know Burnley did beat Liverpool, and they have been decent overall, recently anyway, in the last month or so. But yeah, I'd probably get rid of him, and I think DCL would be much better. So yeah, even though it's a -4, whether you get him in now or next week, I would definitely make that move. I would probably maybe steer away from the hit if possible. And I know I say that and I've taken a -8 myself. But definitely get in DCL. If you think he's going to score against Leicester, then yeah, go for it. Hello, bro. This is what Ismail Khalid says. Current team, Martinez, Stevens, Cancelo, Dallas, Robertson, Mitchell, Barnes, Salah captain, Soucek, Kane, Vardy. On a -4 so far and KDB on the bench. Don't want to make a transfer wildcard. I wouldn't wildcard. You've got a good team overall, but there's a few kind of problems in there, I guess. So I know you're on a -4 so far, but KDB is going to be out for a long time, and a long-term move, pretty much the most obvious one is getting in Bruno. So I would get in Bruno, and in terms of maybe longer term, Robertson, you could maybe find better value elsewhere, maybe another City defender. And Stevens, I know that Southampton have been good, but I would probably look elsewhere as well with him because the fixtures aren't looking great. They've got injuries at fullback with Bertrand suspended and Walker Peters injured. So yeah, longer term, I would probably move those on and definitely get in Bruno. But apart from that, it looks pretty good. Soucek, maybe you could improve with a Gundogan, but it's a good team overall. And then, yeah, you do have Vardy, to be fair, as well, who's... I can see why you'd want a wild card, but you know what? I'd probably just get rid of De Bruyne for Bruno and then transfer out Vardy next week. And probably, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Antonio, Bamford, they're all good options for him. Francis says, I got in Diaz and Bruno, replacement of Robertson and De Bruyne, 4-point hit. My team, Mendy, Dallas, Diaz, Zuma, Lookman, Salah, Soucek, Maddison, Fernandes captain, Bamford, Kane, and on the bench, Martinez, Adams, Justin, Kilman. Yeah, that looks pretty good. And the transfers I agree with. The only obviously kind of issues I'd see there is double Chelsea defence. We don't know how they're going to play with Tuchel. I think they're going to have a response, but longer term, will Tuchel be the right guy? Who knows? Will Zuma play? I'm not too sure, to be honest. Maybe he will. But then Rudiger with that German connection with Tuchel. That's if he does come in, but it does look like he will. And then Lookman as a starter, not too sure about that, but the rest looks pretty good. Maddison could be very good over the next couple of weeks. So yeah, it looks pretty decent. But yeah, longer term, obviously some players you could improve on, like Kilman on your bench, for example. Christian says, hi Dylan, KDB replacement, Gundogan, Barnes, Foden, or maybe even Sterling. A lot of money in the bank. I would probably actually say Gundogan. And the reason why I've kind of changed my mind from the video I made the other day is because obviously with the Vardy injury happening, I think Barnes and Maddison probably less appealing than they were before. They're still good options and they might, score more goals in Vardy's absence. But Vardy does a lot for their team. With Foden, I think if he starts, he's the ideal pick. But he's probably the least nailed there. He can play left wing. He hasn't really played too much in central midfield. And with Gundogan at the moment, you would think he would keep on starting. The only problem is if Walker, who is fit by the way, he plays at right back, Cancelo plays at left back, maybe there's going to be a bit of a collision there in terms of the spaces they occupy between Gundogan and Cancelo. But I'd probably go for him. It's really difficult to say right now because what I'm doing myself is waiting to see how Manchester City play in De Bruyne's absence and see how Gundogan does. And then I'll make a final decision on whether it's Gundogan, Foden, who's going to be coming in for Basuma in my team. So, yeah, at the moment I'd go for Gundogan. I mean, Sterling you can't overlook, and he's a good captaincy option. But if you have the likes of Bruno and stuff, you could just captain him for the next couple of weeks, and it's not too much of a problem. Also, Son and Kane, who are going to have some very good fixtures coming up. Savage Mode asks, thoughts on Maddison? Yeah, I mean, I still think he's decent, and a lot of people think his numbers are unsustainable. I can see why they think that, but I still think that he can keep it up. Maybe not to the same level, scoring with every shot, even in the FA Cup, 4 games in a row that he scored. But yeah, I think he's a decent option. However, because of Vardy being injured, that puts me off him personally. And even then, as a De Bruyne replacement, I didn't have Son because obviously I did the reverse switch to get De Bruyne in. So it was kind of obvious for me to go for Son, and that's why I never really considered Maddison personally, but I still think he's a good option. But I think Vardy's injury kind of changes things in a way. Our edit says, best team for this week. That's a difficult one. I'd probably go for Martinez in goal and double City defence for sure, whether it's Cancelo or Diaz and Stones. I'd go for 2 of them. In terms of, let's look at the fixtures actually. I would probably say Dallas is pretty good, and I know I got rid of him recently, but I think he could be on for a good score this week. If not, there's a Man United defender like Luke Shaw or Wan-Bissaka. I think Shaw has a bit more upside to him, so I'd go for him. I'd go for double City defence and probably Luke Shaw, Martinez in goal, and in the midfield, I'd probably go for something similar to this. It's kind of difficult because Spurs and Liverpool play each other. I don't think Salah would be my ideal team of the week, so I'd probably go for Gundogan instead of Salah. And maybe for Son, someone else. But I'd keep Grealish and I'd keep Bruno for sure. I mean, Rashford is cleared to play, so if you think he's going to start, to be honest, you could go for a double up in Manchester United's midfield. So Bruno and Rashford, and go for Grealish and Gundogan. That could be your 4. And then Antonio Bamford would be my 2 strikers, and to be honest, I'd actually say Calvert-Lewin, so that'll be my starting lineup. And if you have any kind of ideas, if you think Werner's going to turn good now with Tuchel coming in or whatever, then let me know, but that's probably my kind of ideal team for the week. Dylan says, my team, Martinez, Zuma, Diaz, Cancelo, Dallas, Soufal, Gundogan, Salah, Soucek, Grealish, Bruno, Adams, Antonio Bamford, 7 million in the bank, and no free transfers. Any thoughts on potential transfers? Probably Zuma, but I'd keep an eye on it. I mean, just wait and see what happens with the Wolves game. Apart from that, maybe Soucek. But to be fair, you do have Gundogan already. I just think with Soucek, he's just going to be a bench option from now on. We'll have to wait and see, because at the moment he's just playing so deep. And with the arrival of Antonio into the West Ham team, Soucek just hasn't been as effective. But your attack looks really good. Adams, I'd probably not be too sure about, but Antonio and Bamford look really good. Bruno, Grealish, even Salah, I think he will come good, so happy with that. And Gundogan, you got a good team overall. The only question marks I'd have is Zuma, Soucek, and Adams, but the rest looks pretty fine. Ninad asks, what did you do with KDB and your transfers this week? I got rid of KDB and I got Son back in, but I already made transfers before that, and I got Mitchell and Antonio in for Zuma and Brewster. And obviously I made those transfers before the Kevin De Bruyne injury, and that just shows that you probably should just leave transfers up until the last minute, and that's probably just the way to go this season. But yeah, those are the transfers I made for a -8. Yet again, that's 2 weeks in a row. But Game Week 19 was pretty decent for me. Without using any chips, I still got a very good score. But looking forward, obviously, some mistakes I'm making, and obviously the Antonio transfer was something I wanted to make, but because of De Bruyne, that kind of cancelled that out. And then in the end, it's De Bruyne who gets injured, not the injury-prone player in Antonio. But yeah, happy with my team. Going forward, though, do want to get Gundogan and maybe a United defender for Walker-Peters and Basuma. Could still get rid of Mitchell. We'll have to wait and see what Walker-Peters' injury is like. But yeah, that's my plans at the moment. My Juju on Salah blank is still working. I mean, to be honest, Liverpool have been poor in general. I mean, Mane got 1 goal against West Brom, and apart from that, they've done nothing. So, yeah, Liverpool have been poor. I do think they're going to bounce back, but, I mean, if you look at Salah, only 3 of his 13 Premier League goals have been assisted by another player. That's just crazy. It just shows that he's feeding off scraps at the moment, and he's carrying Liverpool at the moment. And I think if they had Jota and if they had Van Dijk, it would just help them, not just defensively, but also offensively. Van Dijk contributes a lot to their build-up. And they just need that centre-back who's secure. I mean, you saw Reece Williams the other day against Manchester United, and yeah, it was just all over the place. So it's really important for them two to come back. And then I think everyone's going to improve, and Salah's going to get even more points. And there was a time where Salah scored pretty much in 7 consecutive starts. So yeah, I don't think he's lost or anything. I just think that Liverpool have been poor at the moment. Thoughts on Zaha for the next few game weeks? I mean, let's look at his fixtures for a second, but my first answer is no. I know the fixtures look very good. I mean, wow, that's better than what I expected, but I'm just not too sure on him. I think Grealish, he's got great fixtures and similar price. I'd go for him. Gundogan for Manchester City. I know the fixtures turn around game week 23, 24, but yeah, I just think there are better options, even Foden. And also Maddison and Barnes, I think they also offer better value. And Palace have pretty much the lowest expected goals of any team in the Premier League. So I would probably try to avoid Zaha at the moment. And he does well with what he's given. You know, he feeds off scraps, even more so than Salah. But I personally would say no. I'd say wait and see. But with Palace assets, especially offensively, I always have doubts. Which 2 do I bench out of Dallas, Adams, Creswell and Soufal? In what order would you bench them? I mean, I'd definitely start a West Ham defender. It's difficult to say which one, Creswell or Soufal. They're both very similar. Soufal's a bit more creative recently, but Creswell has a bit more goal threat. I'd probably start Soufal and Dallas. And yeah, but I mean, benching Creswell, maybe it's up to you. I mean, either Creswell or Soufal starts, and I'd say Dallas. Double West Ham defense, I wouldn't be too sure on that, but having one of them, definitely. And I'd probably bench the other West Ham defender first and this Che Adams second. Chandler says, hey Dylan, start 2, Zuma, Soufal, Matip. Is Pereira, Leicester back fully? Start 2, Richarlison, Adams, Antonio. I'd definitely start Richarlison and Antonio from the strikers. And from the defenders, I'd probably start Soufal and Zuma. As for Pereira, he is back. I'm not sure if he's, fully back, as in ready to start. And what implications does that have on Justin? I've been talking about that for months when I had Justin in my team. And the reason why I got rid of him on my first wildcard was because of Pereira always looming over in terms of his return. But I do think that Pereira will be back, and he's really important. I think he's their best defender. But I still think Justin's going to get minutes. I don't know if he's going to play 90 minutes like he's been doing all season. But yeah, I think Pereira is going to be back within the next 2-3 weeks. I think he'll be eased back in and then start within the next couple of game weeks. No problem, Ismail. Mohammed says, Adams to Kane or Burke to Son next game week? Well, that's a tough one. I'm not sure what the rest of your strikers or forwards or midfielders, should I say, look like. But I'd say Burke to Son looks better because Adams is still maybe a decent bench option and he's much better than Burke. Data says, whom to play, Dallas or Wilson or James Justin or Soufal? If it's between Dallas and Wilson only, rather than all 4 of them, I'd definitely go for Dallas. And as for James Justin or Soufal, I'd probably go for Soufal. So yeah, Dallas and Soufal will be my 2 picks from those 4. I'm doing KDB to Gundogan for a free transfer, says Mickey. Do you reckon transferring out Chilwell and bringing in Diaz for a -4? If yes, who is better, Diaz or Cancelo? I already have Stones. Tough questions. KDB to Gundogan looks pretty good. Obviously, we'll have to wait and see how Manchester City do. I would probably transfer Chilwell out for Diaz. And the reason why is actually, if you look at the last 10 game weeks, so since game week 10, Diaz actually has a lot more points than Cancelo. And obviously, the security of starts helps him a lot in that. And Cancelo only has, I think, 44 points in the last 10. And you compare that to Diaz, he has 60. And then you have Stones, I think he's on 69. So there's a big difference. And Stones with that 27-point haul across the 2 games, obviously that propelled him a lot. But yeah, Diaz is probably the best City defender asset. Cancelo, I think, has more potential. If Cancelo starts. He's the one you prefer over Diaz, but Diaz just starts every single game. So I think he's worth that extra 0.1, 0.2 million. So I'd probably go for Diaz. And to be honest, it's something I'm considering, but because obviously I have other areas where I want to improve, like my squad depth, I haven't really been thinking about that too much, and I'm happy with Cancelo. I think he is due a haul, but so long as, Diaz keeps starting and Cancelo gets benched from time to time, I'd probably go for Diaz. Simon F says, would you play De Gea or Martinez? That's a tough one. I'm not sure if you have a Man United or Villa defender, but if you don't have any and just say you want to pick one between the other, I'd probably go for De Gea, but that's a tough one. Ty Govenda says, hey Dylan, using my wildcard today as I feel it's needed at the moment. So here's the two options. Martinez, Forster, Soufal, Cancelo, Stones, Shaw, Justin, Gundogan, Salah, Son, Bruno, Smith-Rowe, Watkins, Kane, Antonio. That looks pretty good. And I know that Villa have great fixtures, but I would probably just go for Grealish and go for Bamford instead of Watkins. Watkins is just too inconsistent. I know he's got 7 goals this season and he does well overall for Villa, but just he's so inconsistent in terms of goal scoring. So I'd go for Bamford instead of Watkins personally. And as for your midfield, looks pretty good, to be honest. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Smith-Rowe, I'm not too sure. He might lose his spot to Odegaard. That's something to keep an eye on, but he's a bench option anyway for you. And your defence looks very good. I mean, Shaw, Stones, Cancelo, Soufal, Justin. Yeah, that looks pretty good. The only problem would be is if Justin loses his spot entirely, but yeah, should be fine. Magnus says, should I captain Cancelo or Fernandes? Definitely Bruno. Don't overthink it. I know Cancelo, obviously, if he gets an assist or a goal, he's on for a lot of points potentially, but captaining a defender is always risky. During a double game week, it's less risky, I guess, but yeah. I know the fixture looks really appealing. West Brom are pretty poor. I'd still go for Bruno. I think he's the obvious captaincy choice this week. But then again, maybe a differential could help you. But yeah, if you're asking me, it's Bruno. Hey Dylan, why no stream last week? Yeah, I was busy. I couldn't do it. My apologies for that. But I am here now and here answering your questions. Doing pretty well as well. What about you, Antonio? Good to see you here again. Philip says, who to captain, Sterling or Bruno? Did Salah to Sterling and Bowen to Maddison? Was that a great move? I always say this when someone asks, did I make the right choice or did I make the right moves? It all depends on, obviously, how many points they end up getting for you. But on paper, they look like pretty good moves, to be honest. Salah to Sterling is not something I would do. But I do like the other one. Bowen to Maddison looks very good. And I do think Salah will come good. And as for captaincy, Sterling is a good differential. If you think he has a higher ceiling than Bruno, then go for it. But for me personally, Bruno's the safest captaincy pick this week. And yeah, if he does really well, I mean, pretty much, I don't know, I'm not going to put an exact figure on it, but a lot of people are going to be captaining him. I'd go for Bruno, but if you just have a feeling about Sterling, then go for it. I'm not going to talk you out of that. Aranya says, hey Dylan, how are you doing, mate? Wanted to ask if you're not skeptical about having both Son and Kane in spite of their fixtures not being too favourable and not owning any Leicester or City players up front. Well, I'm not too bothered about that anyway because really De Bruyne is the only kind of midfielder or attacker I wanted. And as for Leicester, with Vardy being out, I'm just not too sure about their assets anymore. I still think they're going to offer good value. They're going to keep getting points and Leicester are still going to be up there. But I just think Vardy is instrumental. So for the next 1, 2 or 3 game weeks that Vardy's out for, I think Leicester are going to struggle a bit more, especially with fixtures like Everton, which are obviously very difficult. And as for Son and Kane, I mean, I'm not too bothered because Kane is the top scorer of any player in FPL this season. And Son is third, and there's not much to split them. And so having both of them, you pretty much cover Spurs' goals most game weeks. So I'm pretty happy with that. And I'm probably going to get Gundogan next game week, so not too bothered about not having any Manchester City cover. And their fixtures do turn for the worst pretty soon. However, I would still want to have double City defence during that difficult run. But as for the attack, I'm not too sure about them because City are the type of team who might get some 0-0s in there or a 1-0. If this was years gone by, obviously I would try to get a City attacker despite De Bruyne being out. But we'll have to wait and see how City respond without their main creator. And despite De Bruyne not having the greatest of seasons, he's still got 10 assists and he's making things tick. And goals like the one that Stones scored against Palace, I mean, just look at De Bruyne's vision and his reactions, how he reads the game. No one else at Manchester City has that, but we'll have to wait and see. But I will have Gundogan soon, probably, if not Foden. So I'm not too bothered about that, and I do like the double Spurs attack. They've been doing well all season. Lucas asks, hey Dylan, hope you're feeling good. My question is, would you go with the obvious captain Bruno Fernandes or should I take a risk and captain Antonio because my favourite team are West Ham in form? That's a good question. I mean, I was talking about this in my preview, and I was saying players like Antonio and Grealish, I mean, they could be captaincy options, but personally, I don't like those differentials. So I will still say Captain Bruno, in my opinion. If you're asking me what I would do, I mean, that's what I am doing. I actually did have the vice captaincy on Antonio. I'm not too sure anyway, but Bruno's going to be my captain. But if you have a feeling about Antonio and you're really confident in West Ham and you look at Palace and how poor they are, it adds up. There's quite a few things pointing towards a successful Antonio captaincy. But for me, Bruno, he's facing arguably the worst team in the league. Man United are banging form. Bruno Fernandes is still posting great underlying statistics in the last few game weeks, despite Pogba playing in the same team and despite Bruno not really getting the same amount of points as before. And he's on free kicks, he's on penalties. I'll probably go for Bruno if you're asking me though. There's the second option for the wild card: Martinez, Areola, Cancelo, Soufal, Diaz, Shaw, Justin, Pogba, Rashford, Maddison, Son, Bruno, Gundogan, Watkins, Kane, Antonio. I'd probably go for the first option that you said, Ty. I think that's Ty. I'd probably go for the first option. I do prefer that. With the second one, I know Pogba's been very good recently, but I just wouldn't go for him. Agath said, don't know who to start between Saka and Dallas. I'd probably go for Dallas if you're asking me. And Arsenal do face Southampton. That's a pretty difficult fixture on paper. So yeah, I'd probably go for Dallas. I think there's some points in there, potentially. Whether it's going to be the clean sheet or the attacking returns. I just think that, it's hard to tell, but Newcastle just looks so shocking. And if Newcastle aren't open, I think they're just going to lack goal threat. So I'd go for Dallas. Lucas says, also, how are you doing in the FPL Cup? I didn't even enter it, mate, because the 1 week that obviously it started, the qualification phase, that was literally one of my worst game weeks of all time. So I had 6 players missing. But I'm not too bothered about the FPL Cup anyway. But yeah, it is what it is. Chris says, hi Dylan, I like the look of Leicester, but no Vardy is scary. I agree. That's the thing with Leicester. I still like the look of James Justin, but then with Pereira coming back, not too sure about that transfer at the moment, so I'm going to wait and see and evaluate. But as for the attackers, Maddison and Barnes, still good options, but their appeal has certainly gone down in my estimation with obviously Vardy being out. And it looks like within, let's say, 9 or 8 days from now, Vardy will be back in training, so he's not going to miss too many game weeks, but yeah, for the next few, I'd probably try to avoid Leicester assets myself. But having one attacker is still fine. They're going to score goals. How many? We'll have to wait and see. Ninad says, why people want Cancelo when we know he is not nailed on and no assists yet? To be honest, he should have assists. That's the thing. And he's playing so well. He also hits the crossbar. He forces good saves out of keepers. He's so offensive. He literally plays as a central midfielder at times or as a winger. Cancelo's a great player to watch, but very frustrating when you look at the points that he delivers in the end, but he has so much potential. And one day, maybe he's going to get that 20-point haul or something like that. But yeah, I prefer Diaz and Stones. I think those are the two ideal ones. Looking back on it now, looking at the last 10 game weeks, which is a big sample size. And also, because Cancelo gets rotated from time to time, he does have Walker to compete with and also the left backs. But Cancelo should be nailed on, as in he should be from Pep, but he's not. He's not completely nailed on. He's going to get rests, unfortunately. Cancelo captain, not for me as Mayo. He's still a decent differential, and a lot of people, more than you would expect anyway, would actually captain him. But I don't want to, say be different for the sake of it. Only be different if you think it's worth it, if you think the upside is there, if you think he's finally going to get those assists and goals. But for me, Bruno's the safest captaincy pick, and I'd be scared going into this game week without Bruno and without captaining him. GZ says, is Kevin playing? He's not. KDB is out for 4 to 6 game weeks, or should I say 4 to 6 actual weeks, so more game weeks than that. So yeah, De Bruyne is not playing. Should I play, or should I bench Rafinha or Antonio or Martial? That's a tough one. I'd probably bench Rafinha out of those 3. I'd definitely start Antonio Martial. Martial scored a hat-trick against Sheffield in Project Restart, if you remember, so I'd probably go for those 2, and I do think Martial's due a start after being rested in the FA Cup, or at least not starting, so I'd go for them. Mac Wong says, who to start, Soufal and Creswell or Rafinha and Harrison? I'd go for Soufal. Actually, there's not much to split them. I thought it was a duo thing, so Soufal and Creswell or Rafinha and Harrison. I'd probably go for Rafinha, and yeah, either one of them is fine. You could literally flip a coin. There's not much to split Soufal and Creswell. If you're asking me personally, I do like the look of Soufal, but yeah, either's fine. My team for this week, 4-4-2, De Gea, Wan-Bissaka, Diaz, Cancelo, Soufal, Fernandes captain, Gundogan, Salah, Saka, Antonio, Bamford vice-captain. I like that team, and I've seen a few people vice-captaining Bamford, and there's a reason for that. Newcastle are just abysmal, aren't they? I feel sorry for them. I actually don't mind Newcastle, but yeah, they just look so bad. But your team looks good. I mean, you've got double United defence. Normally, I don't like that, but with the fixture, looks very good. Going forward, though, with some tough fixtures like Arsenal, Southampton, and Everton, I'd probably try to move either De Gea or Wan-Bissaka on. But for this game, it looks very good. Diaz, Cancelo looks fine. Soufal, Fernandes, yeah, I mean, that looks pretty good overall. Yeah, I like that team. GZ says, I was just watching Let's Talk FPL and he has KDB. Yeah, Marbe, he'll probably get rid of him, and if not, maybe you've taken hits already or stuff like that. Maybe you'll just make the transfer next week. But De Bruyne is going to be out for a long time. Vardy, I understand keeping him because he's probably going to miss 2 to 3 game weeks max, and then he's back. But with De Bruyne, he's going to miss even more than that. But that's how it is. Anthony says, Fabianski, Thiago Silva, Robertson, Diaz, Dallas, Grealish, Gundogan, captain. Oh, nice. Fernandes, Salah, Antonio, Kane. Thoughts on this team? Have Soucek, Dyer, and Brewster on the bench. I like that team, and you also have decent options on the bench in Soucek and Dyer. Yeah, I like that. And Gundogan captain is bold. If I had him in my team, he'd actually be my vice-captain. I wouldn't go so far as to captain him, but he might do very well for you. He's on penalties as well now. And I know he missed a few penalties for City, especially last season. I think he missed one against Spurs. But he's actually a good penalty taker across his career. I mean, if you look back to 2013, he scored one in the Champions League final at the big stage. Thiago Silva, I'm not too sure about. I think you could find better value, and same with Robertson, but the rest of your team looks very good. Kumar says, whom should I start? Robertson, Holding, or Adams? Well, that's a tough one, very tough one. Not much to split them. I'd probably go for Adams, actually. I mean, I'm not sure about that. I'm not completely sure, but I'd probably go for him. Maybe Holding, I don't know. It just depends. Do you think Arsenal are going to keep a clean sheet? I think Arsenal are going to win the match, but I just see like a 2-1 or something. Who knows? That's a tough one, really. I'd probably go for Adams, but yeah. If you want to go maybe a bit safer, probably go for Holding. Ty says, should I use Antonio, Watkins, or Bamford next to Kane? Antonio and Bamford would be my picks. And at the moment, Antonio is the one that looks the best. And in terms of minutes per expected goal involvement, he is right up there. I know he hasn't played as much as, the likes of Bamford. But yeah, I'd probably go for Antonio and then Bamford, and Watkins would be last on that list. Start Wan-Bissaka or Target. I have Martinez and I'm playing Soucek ahead of one of these. I'd definitely go for Wan-Bissaka then, because you already have that cover in the Villa defence. And let's say you go for Target and then Burnley score 1 goal. Then yeah, you obviously don't get the point. So I go for Wan-Bissaka. The fixture looks good as well. And maybe you can get another assist at home. What hits did you take, Dylan? So I've taken a -8, and obviously it was early transfers and I don't recommend doing them. But because De Bruyne was fit at the time that I did the first 2 moves, I wanted to get in Antonio, and one price rise would have obviously priced me out of the move. So I did Zuma out for Mitchell and Brewster out for Antonio. But then obviously with De Bruyne being injured, I have so much money available now. But I got Son back in, and I did take a -8 to get De Bruyne in for the double game week, and it just hasn't panned out, unfortunately. But it is what it is. Maybe in another parallel universe, De Bruyne would have just done absolute madness, and yeah, I would have regretted not getting him in. Should I keep Soucek? In my opinion, no. I think you can do better, so I'd probably get rid of Soucek. Hi, thinking of going Gundogan and Cavani for KDB and Wilson. Any thoughts? Got enough funds to get Kane too. I probably wouldn't go for Cavani yet until he has, certain starts. But as for Gundogan, I think that's a good move, but not too sure about Cavani. I'd rather just keep Wilson for the week, I guess, if I'm being honest. Dylan, I don't have any seat defence. How worried should I be that Cancelo gets anything more than a clean sheet this week? I don't know, because it always seems like he's going to do something and he never does, but I would try to get a seat defender if possible, whether it's Cancelo, Stones, or Diaz. My ideal pick is Stones, because he's one of the most nailed players in the team. Not the most, that's Diaz, but there's nearly a 1 million difference in between those two, and I think Stones offers better value, so I'd go for him. Start Justin or Soufal. I'd go for Soufal, definitely, Mickey. And which captaincy, Bruno or Gundogan? For me, Bruno, but Gundogan would be my vice-captain. But if you want to go different, if you backseat to score 3-4 goals, which they could do, then go for it. The problem with captaining a City midfielder, especially when it's not De Bruyne, is that the goals can come from anywhere. They can come from the defenders, from the strikers, from the wingers, from the midfielders. So yeah, that's the problem with captaining a City asset at the moment. But I would probably go for Bruno captain. Salah or Maddison? Who should I start? You know what? I'd still go for Salah. I'd go for Salah. Yeah. I mean, even if I didn't have Salah now, I would actually be worried. I would actually still be worried about him. I still think he can come good, and he has more explosive potential than Maddison for sure. Sander says Sterling or Gundogan. You know what? Personally, I think Gundogan right now. But Sterling is still a good option, and I talked about it in my last video. And I think, yeah, Sterling's going to be a decent captaincy option for the next few. Probably a better captaincy option than Gundogan, but you're paying nearly, 6 million more for Sterling. So I think Gundogan's probably better, and you can spread the options elsewhere. Is Lindelof a good option? In my opinion, there are better options in the United defence. The ideal one is Luke Shaw. It seems like he's nailed down a spot there. He will still get rotated from time to time. He is injury prone. But Shaw or Wan-Bissaka would be my picks from United. I wouldn't say Maguire because he's still one yellow card away from suspension. Lindelof could rotate with Bailly, but I think Lindelof will start. I just think there's better options in United defence. Chelsea more like Flopsy and Liverpool more like Flopperpool. Oh my God, all right. Still, they can turn it around. I think Chelsea and Liverpool, they're going for a rut like Arsenal did, like United did earlier this season, like City did, although it wasn't as bad at the time. Everyone goes for it, especially this season. I think they'll come good, especially Liverpool. Come good enough to win the league? Not too sure at the moment now. Aranya says Gundogan or Foden? I think Gundogan, and the reason is the security of starts and the fact that Gundogan's on penalties. Otherwise, if Foden started just as much as Gundogan, I'd probably go for him. But because of the security of starts, because of penalties, I'll go for Gundogan now. Shall I swap out Vardy or KDB first? KDB because 1, he's more expensive, and 2, he's out for a longer period of time. So I'd go for KDB out. And yeah, if you don't have Son already or Bruno, even Salah, Grealish, Maddison, Barnes, there's so many options in midfield. I'd probably just replace KDB first. Thine says, hi, thinking of going Gundogan and Cavani for KDB and Wilson. Any thoughts? Oh yeah, I already answered that question. Let me jump straight here. Trent and De Bruyne to Diaz and Fernandes. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Yeah, I'd actually do those moves for sure. Trent is just having a poor season. Liverpool are poor defensively, so I'd go for that. Bench Thiago Silva, Robertson or Justin? Yeah, no need to spam, Jack. I'll answer your question. I'll probably bench Robertson. That's a tough one. And if not Thiago Silva, I'd definitely start Justin out of those three, but it's a tough one. But yeah, don't spam the chat, please. You're welcome, Ben. I'm going to try go through some of these questions. There's so many that I've missed, so my apologies for that. Dallas, OCH, Robertson to Stones, Cancelo for a -4. Yeah, that looks good. I mean, I'd probably just do Robertson to, one of the City defenders. I wouldn't go for Dallas out. I actually would rather keep him, especially with double game weeks coming up. And Robertson's so much more expensive, and he's not really doing it. So I'd do Robertson out, probably for Stones. But there's also Cancelo. There's Diaz as well. Hey Dylan, I had a really bad last week and fell from around 60k to over 170k. How do you stay motivated and consistent? That's a good question. Really good question. To be honest, there's weeks where I have a really bad score and I just think, am I playing this? Especially when players are getting rotated or injured out of nowhere or COVID. And it happened with me in UCL Fantasy as well. But to be honest, you're going to have great weeks. You're going to have really bad weeks. It's really difficult to have 60 plus every week. If you did, you'd probably be up there in the top 100 really or something like that. Just what I'd say is don't let it affect you. Just obviously take it on the chin and try learn from any mistakes that you may have made, like early transfers or stuff like that. And also maybe reactionary moves. But apart from that, sometimes it's outside our control. So what I would just say is kind of distinguish what is in your control, what isn't, try to improve, and most importantly, have fun. Because if you're not having fun playing FPL, there's no point playing because there's no point stressing over a game where, if we're being honest, we're picking shirts and, putting the captaincy on someone and then we're saving our team, maybe playing some chips here and there. And there you go. So yeah, I wouldn't let it affect you too much. And you're still in a good position. I mean, I keep saying it, this time last year I was in a horrendous position, absolutely horrendous. We're talking about millions, Mark, and I still made a comeback. And better managers than me have made even more impressive comebacks. So yeah, you could still definitely get into the top 10k, top 100, so nothing to worry about. Chilwell or Holding? For this game week, I'd probably still go for Chilwell because of the attacking upside and because Wolves have just been poor recently. But it's a tough one. Long term, I'm not sure about Chilwell, but I'd probably go for him this week. Bringing Calvert-Lewin or Antonio this week. I'd probably go for Antonio, but Calvert-Lewin, I think he's going to look good, and he's someone that I'm going to have my radar on. I had him for most of this season. And to be honest, if it wasn't for the injury, I might still have him. But I'd probably go for Antonio. The only problem with him is injuries, to be honest. Start Sufal or Kane, please. Oh, that's a tough one. I mean, is there anyone else you can... I mean, I would never bench Kane. I mean, what the hell? Oh, my God. I'd never bench the likes of Salah, Bruno, Kane, Son, really, despite how poor the fixture may seem on paper. But I would also start Sufal, to be honest. It depends. I'd probably go for Sufal, but I wouldn't bench Kane. I'd try to find someone else to bench. Grealish, Gundogan, Maddison or Rashford? That's a really good question. You know what? Despite the yellow card risk, I'd go for Grealish. I think he's the best one out of those. Then I'd say Gundogan because of the fixtures, because he's on penalties, because he plays for Manchester City. Maddison's appeal has gone down because of Vardy being injured. And then with Rashford, despite him being available for selection, there's still a chance he gets benched against Sheffield United. So, yeah, I think Grealish is definitely the best option. Yeah, I already answered your question, so my bad. I have to put you on timeout. But yeah, no spamming on the chat, please. Chilwell is the better option. Hey, Dylan, start Robertson or Soucek. I already have Antonio and Sufal playing. I'd probably go for Robertson in that case, to be honest. I know it's Spurs, but I'd go for him. Tierney to Diaz. Yeah, I'd do that. And yeah, Tierney's a doubt for today, which is a big shame. He keeps getting injuries, but yeah, I'd go for Diaz. And if you already have a seat defender, doesn't matter. Having double is not going to hurt you, I think. Robertson to Cancelo or Stones. Already got Diaz. I'd go for Stones. Probably a bit more nailed than Cancelo. I know Laporte is coming back to full fitness. But yeah, I'd probably go for Stones, yeah. De Gea, Diaz, Stones, Chilwell, Wan-Bissaka, Grealish, Bruno, Captain, Gundogan, Werner, Antonio, Watkins. Bench, Justin, Maddison, Saka, Mendy. Should I change anyone? I have 6.54 million in the bank. That's a weird number. To be honest, yeah, going forward, double United defence is something I'll look at, but don't get rid of them for this game week. You know, they've got Sheffield, but going forward, I'd get rid of one of them. Werner, I know he might have a reaction with Tuchel coming in, but I'd probably get rid of him too. Watkins, I know he's got great fixtures, but I think one Villa attacker is enough. So to be honest, personally, I mean, I don't like changing keepers, but looking at your team, I'd either change De Gea to Martinez or Wan-Bissaka, maybe to... I'm not even sure, you know. I mean, Shaw would be my ideal pick from United defence, but yeah, you could just keep Wan-Bissaka, get rid of De Gea, get rid of Werner as well. Yeah, definitely Werner's the kind of the red flag there, and Watkins. The rest is fine. It looks really good. Bench one, Dallas, Zuma, Rafinha. I would probably bench... That's a tough one. I'd probably bench Zuma. But Rafinha, I'm not too sure about him. I'd probably look to get rid of him in future, especially if you don't have Gundogan. But for this game week, I'd probably start Zuma. And yeah, or should I say bench Zuma? My bad. Chilwell, Sufal, and Alioski. If it's to start one of them, definitely Sufal. I'm pretty sure I answered this guy's question. I'm not sure why you're spamming Cartoon. But yeah, so I have to put you on timeout as well. Anyway, which one should I start? Sufal, Robertson, or Rafinha? Yeah, Sufal for me. And start Martinez or Pope? I'd start Martinez, I think. But Pope, I mean, he's just been a monster, hasn't he? The most points of any keeper. He's got more points than some midfielders and defenders. It's just insane, to be honest. But yeah, I'd probably go for Martinez. Bench Dallas or Sufal? That's a tough one. That's a really tough one. You know what? I'd probably, in this case, bench Sufal, but that's a really tough one. Have to start Kane for his ownership alone. He's going to hurt you if he scores. I mean, that's why I just wouldn't bench him. I know the fixture looks tough on paper, but then you look at Liverpool away from home, they're conceding so many chances, they're dropping so many points. Yeah, just for me, yeah, no need to overcomplicate it. Don't bench Kane, in my opinion, if you can. But yeah, who to start? Chilwell, Sufal, Alioski. I answered that question, and I would start Sufal. Let's see. Gundogan captain, yeah, that looks pretty good, to be honest. Like I said, if I had him, he'd be my vice captain. I wouldn't go so far as to captain him myself, but yeah, I think still he looks good. Is Cancelo for a hit worth it? It depends who you're getting rid of, but to be honest, I would probably try to avoid a hit if possible, especially for a defender. But then again, I took one for Mitchell, although it was to fund Antonio. But yeah, Cancelo is going to be very good long term. But let's say, for example, you already have Stones or Diaz. I'd probably look to get the other one. So if you already have Diaz, look to get Stones in. But yeah, that's my opinion on it. Start Sufal or Adams. Christopher asks, I'd go for Sufal, definitely. Dilemma right now, says Mohan. Get Sterling or Gundogan for KDB. If I go for Sterling, I could afford to get Son too. But I think Sterling may explode later today. Well, I would personally go for Gundogan. I mean, this is the thing with Gundogan. I don't like him so much as a KDB replacement because I don't want to put that sort of expectation on him. But the fact that you said you think Sterling's going to haul or explode, I'd probably go for him in that case. If you think that, then I'd probably go for Sterling, and he might take more of the brunt of the attacking responsibilities because he's going to be the main talisman now, you would think. He'd be the best attacker on paper. So yeah, I'd go for him. Who's on your bench? Yeah, I haven't shown that today, but that's my bench. Looks really poor. It is poor because Walker-Peters is injured. Mitchell, Walker-Peters, Basuma. And for Game Week 21, Mitchell or Walker-Peters are going to become maybe Luke Shaw or Justin or someone like that. And Basuma is going to become Gundogan or Foden or something like that. I mean, I can afford both of those moves. That's the good thing about it. I don't want to overload myself with, great players in every position, including a great second keeper and stuff like that. I don't want to have too many selection headaches, but I want to have enough squad depth to cover just in case something happens in terms of postponements or whatever. Gundogan or Foden? Yeah, I think Gundogan. I keep saying that now. It's not much to split them, to be honest. I think if Foden starts, if they both start, I think I prefer Foden in that way. But Gundogan's on penalties. He's a bit more likely to start, so I'd probably go for him. I might get Barkley, goals are imminent. Yeah, but for me, in terms of Aston Villa attackers, it's Grealish or nothing for me personally. Then maybe Watkins. But yeah, for me, Grealish is the one to have. Barkley is decent. He helps Grealish as well in terms of goal threat. He takes the central position, then Grealish doesn't have to just rely on playmaking. And to be honest, Grealish could have scored another goal or two against Newcastle the other day. But yeah, Barkley's a decent option. I just wouldn't go for him personally. What are your transfer and wildcard plans leading up to Double Game Week 26? Good question, Ben. So, as I just discussed now, I would want to improve my bench first. Walker-Peters, if he's out for another game week, definitely getting rid of him. For Justin, for Luke Shaw, or maybe someone else. And Basuma becomes Gundogan or Foden. Most likely Gundogan. And it depends which transfer I make first. I don't know if I would take a hit for those, because I don't think there's a need to do that, and I've taken enough already. In terms of Double Game Week 26, I'd probably wildcard in Game Week 25 and set up the team perfectly for Game Week 26 and have Double Game Week players on the bench. And then some people will turn around and say, but what about Game Week 29 and you don't have the free hit available? But it depends how many fixtures are going to be played in Game Week 29. Is it worth using a free hit if you had it anyway? And is it worth, having your bench full of blank Game Week 29 players ready for that? Not for me. I think I just want to stack up for a bench boost because I haven't used it yet. So that would be my plan at the moment. And in terms of triple captaincy, probably a smaller double game week. And the players I'm targeting for triple captaincy are definitely Bruno, Salah, Son, Kane, and De Bruyne when he's back. Those are the 5. I don't want to deviate from those 5 for sure. I think those are the best FPL assets in terms of captaincy this season. I don't want to deviate too much from that. Hi, should I start Watkins or Alioski? Asked the Blubber King. I would probably start Alioski, but that's a tough one. That's a really tough one. Sammy says, I did a wild card. I don't know who to choose. Can you help me, please? Ooh, a wild card. Let's see, actually. I mean, tell me what you have right now, and I'll kind of play around with that, with the team you have. Captain Gundogan pick. Yeah. I'd probably have him as my vice captain. I would captain Bruno. That's my opinion. But yeah. Bench Dallas, Sufa or Bowen? A lot of questions with these types of players. I would probably bench Bowen out of those 3, if I'm being honest. Fabianski or Martinez? I'd go for Martinez. I did wildcard. I don't know who to choose. Yeah, I answered that. Why do you like Sufal so much? I don't necessarily like him so much. I just think him and Creswell, having one West Ham cover is good. He's not an amazing player or anything, but yeah, good fixtures for the next couple of game weeks. Yeah, why not? I don't really like him that much, to be honest. McCarthy or Meslier to start? I would probably go for Meslier, actually. Meslier or Lloris? I would go for Meslier, definitely. Most of my starting 11 players will probably start, but in case somebody doesn't, what would be your order of substitutes if you had Adams, Chilwell and Zuma? Chilwell first, probably Adams second and Zuma third, but yeah, I mean, that's a tough one. Shaw or Wan-Bissaka for Reguilon? Shaw. Joshua. So yeah, Joshua, I'd go for Shaw. Is Antonio a good option? For sure. The problem with Antonio is his injury record. That is his problem. But he's got great fixtures coming up. I know he's got Liverpool in Game Week 21, but great fixtures up until, let's say, Game Week 25. Will he still be fit by then? Who knows? But yeah, I think Antonio's good. And like I already mentioned before, in terms of minutes per expected goal involvement, he is right up there for strikers. And for his price, who else could he get? Maybe Bamford, maybe Watkins if you fancy it. but I think Antonio's better at the moment. I think Neto will score twice today. Very bold prediction. I'll try to remember that when Wolves play. That's going to be a really interesting one. How do you think that Southampton versus Arsenal game will go with Alba out? Very good question. I'm not sure, to be honest. Arsenal have to win. I mean, you look at the team they put up in the FA Cup. It literally was I know the players on paper should be doing better, but you know Willian isn't good enough and stuff like that. So he literally threw the FA Cup away, Mikel Arteta. So he has to back it up now with a win in the league against Southampton, push up the league table, and try to have a Europa League run. So in terms of what I think is going to happen, I have a feeling there's going to be a draw or something like that. Southampton are going to be frustrating. They didn't really do anything in the FA Cup game. They were lucky not to concede a penalty. And I do think the changes into the Arsenal team, like Smith Rowe coming back in, will make a difference. But I don't know. I have a feeling it's going to be a draw. Lewis asks, had to play my wild card. Thoughts on Martinez, Soufal, Cancelo, Diaz, Grealish, Bruno, captain, Salah, Gundogan, Antonio, Bamford, Kane, McCarthy, Justin, Soucek and Mitchell on the bench. That's pretty good. And to be honest, you might have a lot of players for the double game week 26 as well in the process. Yeah, I like that team, to be honest. There's nothing really that kind of screams you're making a mistake. I actually like that you have two good keepers you could rotate with. And in essence, you've got that Villa and Southampton defensive cover. Yeah, I like that team, to be honest. That looks pretty good. Soucek, not too sure about him. But then again, around his price or whatever, who could you get? Maybe Saka. But yeah, it looks pretty good. Chilwell to bench for Grealish, -4, or leave it as it is. I wouldn't take a -4 for Grealish, but I would probably try to get Grealish in if you can. But yeah, probably just leave it. Chilwell could still do well this week. But players like Zuma, who might not start, just not sure about them. And I'd probably avoid them, if possible. Maddison or Barnes? Tough one. I mean, the other day I said Maddison, and I'll probably just go for him slightly. It's not much to split them. Barnes has the better statistics, especially the underlying ones. But Maddison just is in such great form at the moment. But then again, I already said it before, I'm not too sure about Leicester assets right now because of the Vardy injury. That's how important I think he is to them. Who to start, Trent or Watkins? I'd start Watkins in that case, definitely. Was thinking Rafinha for Soucek due to Leeds' upcoming double. Yeah, I'd probably go for something like that. Thomas Tuchel, thoughts? I mean, I think he's a decent manager, but I don't think he's going to do great at Chelsea. I mean, not at this moment in time anyway. It's hard to see that, but maybe he will. I'm not too sure about him though. I mean, he just got sacked by PSG. Just think about it. So yeah. Start Soufal, Reece James or Justin? Asked Dylan Williams. I would start Soufal. And I keep saying that. Love these streams. Cheers for the advice. I'll go for Meslier in net, but now have to decide between double Leeds defence with Alioski or who should I go for? Soufal, double Leeds defence, better differential. I'd probably go for Soufal though, but it's up to you. I keep saying go for Soufal, but I genuinely think he could do well this week. Maybe not, but it is what it is. But yeah, I'd probably go for that. Mate, can we see the bench? Yeah, I already showed my bench. It's Mitchell, Walker-Peters, Basuma. It's a really ugly bench. I wouldn't want to see it myself, to be honest. No problem, Rai. Start Creswell. Yeah, I agree. Dallas or Creswell, who should I start? Yeah, I'd probably go for Creswell in that case. Not much to split them, though. Let's see. Nuclear Castle are abysmal these days. What depression. I like to see the Magpies doing well. Liverpool Sport. Yeah, they're one of those, kind of historic clubs that should be doing better than they are, and they've just been let down for years. That's a big shame. But yeah, Rashford worth the risk? Not in my opinion, Joe. Not in my opinion, but still could be a good option this week. But I just think Bruno's enough if you have him already for this game week. If Rashford, didn't have this little injury doubt beforehand, I think he would be more likely to start. But now, maybe he's going to be rested. Maybe Greenwood's going to play. Cavani, Martial, occupying those attacking positions. Start 2 of Soufal, Robertson and Alioski. Alioski and Soufal, in my opinion. Reece James or Watkins? Good question. I'd probably go for Watkins. Justin or Chilwell, or play both and bench Soucek? I'd start both and I'd bench Soucek. That's what I would do. Yeah. Let's keep on going. Sorry, mate, I'm late for the stream. Do you think I should start Adams or Dallas or Soufal? I'd go for either Dallas or Soufal. I probably would bench Adams. Bruno or Gundogan for captain? Bruno for me. Gundogan would be a great vice-captaincy option, but not for me in terms of captain. Sammy says, I've got Martinez, Diaz, Stones, Soufal, Fernandes, Gundogan, Maddison, Salah. Yeah, so, okay, I think you're the one who's asking about the wild card. So in terms of the attack, something very similar to this. I'd either go for Kane, Bamford and Antonio, or instead of Kane, go for Dominic Calvert-Lewin. And in terms of your midfield, yeah, Gundogan, Salah, Fernandes looks good. I would still go for Son, believe it or not. So you know what? I'd go for Dominic Calvert-Lewin up front and Son in your midfield. Your defense looks good. And in terms of your bench, you could go for options like Mitchell, let's see, maybe Justin or Luke Shaw. Yeah, I think having a decent option or two on your bench is very important. So yeah, you have a good team there on paper there with your wildcard, especially if you go also for the strikers that I mentioned. In my opinion, those are the best ones you could go for. No problem, Ahmed, and thank you, DZ. Appreciate it. Thank you, Dusan. Good luck to you as well. Is this a -4 hit team? It's a -8, mate. It's a -8, and not because I wanted to, but you know that's what happens when you make early transfers. And obviously the De Bruyne news came after that. But I'm going to try to obviously limit hits in the future. I'm not going to play a wild card to cancel out the hits, despite the fact that maybe I would want Diaz, Gundogan and all these players. I want to try to avoid the hits if possible in the future. And that means no more early transfers if possible. What are your thoughts on the Rodri goal? After review, the FA have said now if something like that happens again, it's illegal. Well, that just shows there was a loophole. And I just thought at the time it shouldn't have stood. But it did. And it's already happened, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, the FA is just so inconsistent at times with their decision making. There's a rule book, but that rule is just such a grey area around it. And it's really difficult because it all depends on the perception from the referees and how they apply it. It's not so black and white. Sometimes it depends on, you know, your opinion, which is where the grey kind of matter lies in. But yeah, I just think that goal was ridiculous. It shouldn't have stood, but it did. In terms of the penalty, looking back on it, maybe it was a penalty. I did say at the time that I didn't think it was. Robertson, Justin, Soufal, Dallas, Stones. Which three should start? Definitely Stones. I'd go for Soufal and Dallas. So yeah, Soufal, Dallas and Stones. I think you should start from those five you said. Dallas, Mitchell, Soufal and Dyer. Which two to play? Dallas and Soufal. And I keep saying Soufal's name. I mean, I apologise for it, but it's just a lot of people have him. A lot of people ask if they should play him. In my opinion, they should. Who should I play? Chilwell, Soucek or Dallas? I would probably play Dallas, if not Chilwell. Soucek would be, or Soucek should be probably the third option of the three. -4 for Antonio instead of Rodrigo, or no hit and start Rodrigo? That's a tough one. To be honest, if you're confident in Antonio for this game week, especially, I'd probably go for it because next week I don't think you'd probably want to go for Antonio with Liverpool coming up. But yeah, I would go for it. I'd actually go for that -4. Get Smith Rowe bench. Yeah, well, the problem with Smith Rowe is one, Odegaard's coming in, so he's going to be rotated more often. And two, he's 4.5 million, but he's not someone I would like to have on the bench too much, you know. I'd actually want to start him quite a lot of the time because if I just keep him on the bench all the time, he's going to get some hauls and that will be frustrating. But then you could say the same thing about Gundogan. So when I do, or if I do get Gundogan in, I'm going to have that kind of issue with my 8 attackers, so to speak. So yeah, it's a difficult one, but in my opinion, I'm just going to go for Gundogan for Basuma, probably start him, and I'd probably maybe bench Antonio against Liverpool or something. I mean, that's looking further ahead now. But yeah, my opinion, I don't want to go for Smith Rowe at the moment. I'd rather go for the City attackers, especially with those fixtures coming up. Soufal, Castagna, Dallas, Watkins, Soucek. Play 2 from these 5. Okay, you know what? Probably Soufal and Dallas, but if you fancy Watkins, then maybe just pick one of those 2 defenders I said on Watkins, and Castagna and Soucek would be lower down on the agenda. Should I bring in Sterling for KDB, considering he has scored the most of his goals against lower-ranked teams this season? I mean, I made a video on the best replacements for De Bruyne. I highlighted Sterling. I did say there are better options, in my opinion. But yeah, I think Sterling can be good. I think he's a good captaincy option for the next few. He can be a very good vice-captaincy if need be. Yeah, you know what? The only problem with him is, will he start all the games? I think he will, but with Pep, you never know. I think it's worth the risk. But if you don't have Bruno or Son or stuff like that, or Grealish, I would probably try to prioritise one of those 3 before getting Sterling in. Who shall I start? Bednarek, Justin or Soufal? Soufal. I can play 3-5-2? Yeah, you can play 3-5-2. Any playable formation, you know, any formation you've seen in real life, unless you've seen someone play 2 at the back or something, which I have, but that doesn't count. But yeah, you can play 3-5-2, especially with the team that I said. But yeah, it's up to you if you want to have 3 strikers in Antonio, Bamford and Kane or Dominic Calvert-Lewin. If not, just go for 2 of those and go for 5 in midfield. So you could go for these 4 that I have and Gundogan. So there's different ways you can go about it. Ragav says, who should I play? Chilwell, Soucek or Dallas? Yeah, I'd go for Dallas probably, if not Chilwell. Play Soucek or Robbo. I have to bench one. I'd go for Robertson. I would actually prefer starting him. Martial or Cavani. That's a tough one. For this game week, I'd actually probably say Martial, but maybe both of them can start together and Rashford's benched, or maybe one of them's going to be benched. I mean, the problem with going for one of them is you're going to be expecting a lot of rotation. And with Man United, in my opinion, it's Bruno. Bruno's the guy you want. And if you want a second attacker, in my opinion, it's Rashford. And then come Martial or Cavani. But yeah, for this game week, between those two, Martial, in my opinion. So when do we wildcard before double game week 25-26? Well, it depends on your strategy. But if you want a bench boost in game week 26, you can either wildcard in 24-25. In preparation for 26, you will know what the double game weeks will be by then. And then it's all good. Is Rashford injured? He is not injured. He's available for selection. He had a little, he has some bruising. But apart from that, he's fine. So Rashford could play today, or should I say this game week, but he might be rested because maybe Ollie just doesn't want to force it. Martial also had a rest and stuff like that. So he has different options. So there's no real need for him to start, but he is fine. He's available for selection, and he'll definitely be playing against Arsenal in game week 21. I've got Martinez, Diaz, Stones, Soufal, Fernandes, Gundogan, Maddison, Salah, Grealish, Kane, Antonio. Bench Johnston, Justin, Don Davis. That looks pretty good, to be honest. Such as the degradation of my life of late, 5 o'clock of a Tuesday is an exciting time because of the lineups. Oh, yeah, that's true. I mean, we'll have to wait and see. Still some time left, but yeah. Who should I play? Soufal, Justin, or Bednarek? I think I've answered this question, but Soufal. Dallas or Soufal? Dallas, but to be honest, I mean, I'm not sure. There's not much to split them. I'll have nightmares about Vladimir Soufal. Yeah, I mean, I've actually mentioned him like 10 million times today. So many people have him. So yeah, I'm probably going to have nightmares too. Reece James or Smith Rowe? I'd probably start Reece James. Start Soufal or Bednarek? Justin or Bednarek? Oh, yeah, I've answered that question. I apologise, but yeah, no spamming on the chat. I will answer your question if possible. Yeah. I really think the one game week I bench Adams, he will haul. Yeah, it just seems like that with Adams, doesn't he? But yeah, it depends who you have in front of him, but I wouldn't be too worried if you have good players in front of him, to be honest. Is Bamford a good captaincy shout? He's a good differential captaincy shout, but for me, Bruno is the one. Gundogan's another good one. Cancelo, arguably. Grealish, Antonio, Bamford. I think those are all the next best things. Maybe Son if you back him. But for me, Bruno's the standout, in my opinion. Differential picks for midfielders. That's a tough one. I mean, if you look at all my midfielders, they're all 30% owned or more. To be honest, Gundogan is still a differential, or Foden. I think those are good differentials. I think Barnes is another one. But yeah, in terms of differentials, it's hard because Antonio was a differential a few weeks ago, and now he's just going up and up in terms of ownership. But yeah, I'd probably say Gundogan is the best one. I've got Martinez, Diaz, Stones, Soufal, Fernandes, Gundogan, Maddison, Salah, Grealish, Kane, Antonio, Johnston. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Should I play... Oh, I play 3-5-2. Yeah, that looks pretty good, to be honest. It's similar to some of the things I recommended you and some of the players you already had in your draft, so you should be fine. But with a wildcard, I always recommend it. Try to have something in mind. So if you think you might wildcard in this game week, always try to leave it, a few days before. Try to plan it. And so then when it comes to the day, you're sure about it, because whenever you make a wild card on the final day, it doesn't really end well. And I know from experience, especially with UCL Fantasy. So yeah, but it looks pretty good. Is Diaz the best centre-half in Europe this season? Definitely. I mean, I'm trying to think of someone who's been better. No, I think for me, he's the best centre-back this season, easily. Do I start Chilwell or Maddison? I would probably start Chilwell, but that's a difficult one, Josh. Chilwell, Soufal, Dallas. My God, so many of those names have always been popping up. Probably Dallas, but I don't know, man. There's not much to split all of them. They all have creativity. They all have goal threat. They all have potential for a clean sheet. But yeah, I'd probably go for Dallas. That's a tough one, though. Which three would you start between Soufal, Robertson, Saka, Soucek, and Wilson? Wow, that's a tough one. Probably Soufal, Saka, and probably Wilson. Yeah, I guess. But I don't know. I mean, going for Newcastle, I don't know, man. It's just Soucek, not too sure about. Robertson, really difficult fixture. But definitely Soufal and Saka start them. Good luck, Dylan, and everyone this game week. Captaining Gundogan for the fun of it this week. Come on, City. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, if you're having fun with it, and if he gets the points, even more fun and even more things to celebrate. So yeah, good luck to you as well with your captaincy. Very bold. and hopefully it pays off for you. Sufal Robertson, Sufal, and hopefully I don't have to say Sufal's name again, but I think I will. Justin or Dallas? Dallas, in my opinion, for this game week. Welcome, Kinslayer. Is 3-6-1 a formation? No, it's not. No. So the formations, are 4-5-1, 4-4-2, 4-3-3, 3-4-3, 3-5-2, 5-4-1, 5-3-2. Yeah, those are the formations. So you have to have a minimum of 3 defenders and a maximum of 5, obviously. Same with midfielders, a minimum of 3, maximum of 5. With strikers, you could have 1, 2, or 3. Obviously, you can't have more than that because you can't even have that in your squad. So yeah, hopefully that clears it up for you, Abubakar. Captaincy choice over Sterling and Bamford. I'd probably go for Sterling in that case, but you know what? There's actually a debate to be made for Bamford. But I'd probably go for Sterling. 5 minutes to go. Yeah, well, I mean, now it's gone. Leno or Martinez in goal, please. Martinez for sure. 3-6-1, yeah. Ricardo Pereira, 5.9. Is he Messi or what? Well, he started at 6 million, and to be honest, he's one of the best right-backs in the league, in my opinion. But, yeah. And to be honest, actually thinking about it, Portugal have so many good players, you know. They got Diaz, they got Cancelo, they got Pereira. They could all be in the same team. Damn. It's a shame they have a pretty poor keeper at the moment in Patricio, but they've got some very good players in that team. Dallas, Sufal, Wan-Bissaka, Diaz. Which 3 do I choose? That's a tough one. Wan-Bissaka, Diaz definitely, and probably Dallas. But Sufal's pretty good, and I just said his name again. Yeah, Dallas or Soucek. Dallas. Yeah, definitely. No need to spam. Like I said, I will obviously put people on timeout if they do. Justin versus Everton or Saka versus Southampton. Probably Saka. Captain Sterling worth it? I think so, but if I had Bruno, I'm just going Bruno, and that's what I'm doing right now, aren't I? And the deadline has passed. Oh my god, let's see what happens. It's a shorter game week. The final game is on Thursday. Let's see how it goes. Good luck for game week 20. Good luck to you as well, Singh, and thank you for tuning in. Yeah, the deadline has passed. 105.3. Is that your squad value? I mean, look, everyone always asks me about my squad value. Yeah, mine's 105.5. Yeah, I had to look closer there. I'm pretty blind there, but yeah. I mean, it's different. It's different from here compared to the app, but that's a different story in itself. Rashford hat-trick, guys. Wrong captain. That's if he starts. I'm not too sure if he will, to be honest, but yeah. There's no need to risk him, you know. If there is a risk, why risk him? Do you stream before each deadline, or do you miss some? No, I stream every single time. I only miss one, pretty much in the last, since I started streaming, and that's because I literally couldn't make it. But I stream every single time, 1 hour before the deadline, and UCL Fantasy as well. Same thing. If you play UCL Fantasy, I do deadline streams for that as well. Good luck as well, Vegard. Thank you for joining in. Really appreciate it. It is squad value, pal. It's important way, I think. Yeah, that's true. Let's see. Yeah, so many questions today. I appreciate everyone who joined in. But yeah, I mean, let's see what happens with this game week. Greenwood, Cavani and Bruno are going to bang for my draft team. I've never played draft, I'll be honest. I've never played draft at all. But yeah, I mean, I think those players are going to start, those 3 that you mentioned. And if not, then Martial will start instead of Cavani. I think Martial could be in for a haul. But yeah, overall, I wouldn't want to have him. Definitely not. Best of luck, everyone. Let's go Green Arrows. Yeah, hopefully. And you captain Gundogan, so maybe you're going to get some very big green arrows there. Let's have to wait and see what happens. But yeah, as I keep on saying, when obviously it's available, I will be setting up my team for Game Week 21. And I'm going to try to leave transfers until as late as possible because I've just been taking far too many hits in the last few weeks. I've basically taken a -8 back-to-back. I will be looking to get Gundogan in for Basuma and a United defender or Justin, or maybe someone else who comes up for Walker Peters if he's out for a long time. And if Walker Peters is back soon, then maybe Mitchell is another one to make way. But apart from that, very happy with my team. I'm probably going to keep things as they are. Maybe, obviously, if I have a luxury transfer to make, I know it might sound sideways, I might move Cancelo to Diaz just because of the starts, you know. Diaz is more nailed, and also if you look at the last 10 game weeks, I keep on saying it, Diaz has got 60 points, Cancelo's got 4.4, and there's not much to split them in between price. So yeah, with Cancelo, very frustrating at times because I generally believe he should be, if not the highest scoring defender in FPL this season, he should definitely be top 3 or 5. I think he's he's been robbed by a lot of assists. You know, he's assisted De Bruyne and Mahrez with very good opportunities. He's almost scored himself. I think the haul will come, and hopefully it does soon, just so I just stop thinking about Diaz and getting him in, because overall, really happy with this team. Bruno, he will blank like Antonio. Oh my God. I have to say, if you do blank him now, you might have to be banned permanently, Ninad, because yeah, you seem to be jinxing all these players like Salah and stuff. Hoping Bruno gets his first deserved hat-trick tomorrow night. Well, part of me doesn't want him to. I do want United to drop points, but they're not going to drop points against Sheffield. But yeah, hopefully Arsenal end the streak next week, hopefully. I think DCL could be an option as a punt. Yeah, I wouldn't captain him, but he is someone I would like to have in my team. Despite having Antonio, Bamford and Kane, which is an ideal front three, Calvert-Lewin is someone I've got my eye on. That's another one. Sheffield United, if we said Uni, missing loads of players, so hope United stuff them. Yeah, they're missing up to 9 players. Ridiculous, and it's not like obviously they've got a lot of quality anyway, but such a stark contrast between last season and this season with Sheffield United. They were pushing for European places, and this season they're definitely going down, I think, unless they produce a run. But yeah, I think United will comfortably win tonight. And should I say this week? I keep saying tonight. Let's see, when is the actual game? Is it tomorrow? Yeah, it's tomorrow. And then just one game on Thursday, Spurs-Liverpool. That's a really good one. A lot of great games coming up, and the title is going to be very interesting this season. Any thoughts on doing watch-along streams? Yeah, it's a possibility, but definitely not with Arsenal, because I go mental when I watch Arsenal. So yeah, and sometimes I completely lose it. I either question the manager's decisions or, obviously some reactionary comments from time to time. But yeah, definitely don't want to. Thank you, El Padrino. I hope it pays off. Looks very good on paper, but yeah, the bench looks poor, and it's something I need to work on for sure. Do they have the coronavirus? I'm pretty sure they do. I mean, what other explanation is there? Maybe just another flu or another, cold or virus. Because it's not like 9 players are going to get injured or something. So yeah, it must be that. It must be self-isolating or something like that. If they don't have it, maybe they're just self-isolating. 10 of the same starters. No wonder you think it's a good team. I wonder who the 10 starters are. Yeah, I mean, a lot of these players are heavily owned. It's actually my defence more than anything that are kind of differentials in a way. Stones, still pretty low ownership, but after that brace against Palace, although obviously I was happy with the points, it meant that he's no longer a differential, or as much of a differential as he was before. All right, I see. Still some questions coming in. My bad, I've missed some of them. Sterling will shock at West Brom. So do you mean by getting a haul? Because he has been... it's been a shock whenever he does haul this season. I do think he can do something. Or do you mean he's going to be a shock because he's going to do nothing? Should I keep El Ghazi or sell? I'd probably sell him. This is something I pointed out even before Barkley was officially back. With Barkley coming back, Grealish moves to the left, and that means Traore is going to be on the right, or El Ghazi. And at the moment, it seems like Traore is preferred, and he obviously scored recently. So yeah, I'd probably get rid of El Ghazi, and the only Villa attacker I would want is Grealish. I have to keep saying it, but that's my opinion. I think Grealish is the one to have from the Aston Villa players. I think, should I take Vardy out of my team next week? Ask Arsenal's number 1, and that's a great picture, by the way. See that with Van Nistelrooy and Martin Keown. I would probably get rid of him, but just wait. Don't make transfers yet. Wait until the deadline, and if he's maybe ahead of schedule and he'll come back sooner than expected, then maybe just keep him. But I would probably get rid of him. And the strikers at the moment that I think are the must-haves or the best options: Antonio, Kane, Bamford, and Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I think Calvert-Lewin will start scoring again. Maybe not to the degree he did between game weeks 1 to 8, but I think he will be doing really well. I'd keep Cancelo. Surely mega haul incoming within the 3 game weeks. I hope so. He's a quality player. I mean, he's such a great watch, but then again, frustrating. But I hope so. I really hope so. The fixtures are fantastic. You're talking about Sheffield United after, West Brom away, and then Burnley away. The problem after that, some very tough fixtures up ahead. But yeah, Manchester City, I still think they can do well. Keep clean sheets, score plenty of goals. The problem here, let's see how they do without Kevin De Bruyne. DCL, Ings and Watkins on my watch list. With it, their double game weeks on the horizon. That's true. Dominic Calvert-Lewin could have one in game week 24, with all these FA Cup games, the implications they have on the Premier League, Calvert-Lewin is definitely someone to look out for. Ings, I'm not too sure about. He's been injured quite a few times this season, and I think there's better value options. I mean, the four I mentioned, I think, offer far better value at the moment. Watkins is still someone to consider, but yeah, Calvert-Lewin and the three I have here are the ones that I definitely want. Don't give me hope on Martial Hall. I'm guessing you have him. Well, Martial long term, I just don't like him. I don't rate him as an asset, and I think this season he's been very poor. I mean, think about it. Manchester United are top of the league, and their main striker has got, 2 goals or something in the Premier League? That's poor. I just think he will score today, or I keep saying today, tomorrow, but we'll have to wait and see. Oh yeah, should I keep El Ghazi? So yeah, I'll answer that question. In terms of replacements, the Persian Warrior, if you don't have Grealish already, I go for him. If you don't have Gundogan, go for him. I still think Salah, Bruno, Son, great options. There's Maddison or Barnes. All of them you should consider. And if maybe you want to go a bit different, because it seems like everyone's going for Gundogan, there's Foden, Sterling if you can afford it. But yeah, I'd keep it to the 4 you see on screen, and Gundogan and one of the Leicester assets, despite the fact that I keep on saying it, I do think they're going to regress because of obviously Vardy's injury. I got Gundogan now, took Salah out for KDB a few weeks back. Yeah, that's fair enough. I mean, I keep saying it. I know Salah's been poor. I know Liverpool have been poor, but I'm still worried. If I didn't own him, I'd be worried. But he's so expensive and I'm not looking to captain him. So it's not ideal at the moment. It's not ideal with Salah. But we'll have to wait and see what happens. I will move on to Son again at the expense of the 4 yellow-carded Fernandes in a week or two. The finger is on the trigger. United are a target now, a temporary stay at the top. Hence, Fernandes is gone. I mean, I don't think they're going to win the league, but I think they're going to still compete towards the end. I think Manchester City will win. I mean, but then again, when Liverpool beat Palace 7-0, I was convinced that Liverpool would win the league, and I was hoping for a bit of competition from City and stuff like that. But I think Bruno's a must-have, in my opinion. I know he's 1 yellow card away from suspension, but the 19 games is almost over for United, so the threshold increases from 5 to 10 yellow cards for a suspension. Bruno Fernandes is a quality player, and he's got the most points he's come in, the most goals from any midfielder, the most assists. I mean, I've said these stats so many times, but I just think he's here to stay. If United don't stay at the top, Bruno will still be at the top in terms of FPL points, or top 3, top 4, top 5. So I think he's still worth it. Thoughts on Pereira, main man in Big Sam's relegation fight. Yeah, he's the one that, whenever I've talked about West Brom, I said if there's any asset, that you want to consider, is Pereira. But apart from that, no. But even then, with all the options you have in midfield, from the Leicester guys, from Grealish, from Salah, Fernandes, Son, nah, not worth it in my opinion. I know he obviously was amazing in the double game week and no one expected that, but nah, he's a quality player in real life, but I wouldn't want to have him in FPL. West Brom are just poor. Laporte needs to come back and cause some problems for Stones owners because I don't have him. I mean, to be honest, instead of wishing bad, maybe you should just get Stones, because Stones is quality, and right now he's better than Laporte. And yeah, in my opinion, he shouldn't be benched. Hey, I just subscribed. Don't be dissing rude. Yeah, all right, John. I mean, to be fair, I just said there's a great picture. I didn't diss him. There's a lot of things I could say about Van Nistelrooy and United and Ferguson, but you know what? We'll keep it PG for now. I just played Soufal over Adams. Now I have to sleep early, so I don't watch the game. Yeah, just don't watch the game in general. I mean, Palace against West Ham. Maybe it's going to be a good game, but it's not something I'd be interested in. The lineups are going to be out in 17 minutes. If Soufal's benched and then comes on for 1-pointer, I'm going to have like 20, 30, maybe 40 people screaming at me, probably with pitchforks outside my house, so I've got to be careful there. Value means nothing to me now with all my KDB cash in the bank. That's true. And that's the problem with the moves I made before. I made moves looking at transfer value and looking at obviously how much I had available. And now there's so much more money to redistribute. So yeah, you're completely right on that. I'm going to back James Rodriguez very soon. He's about to bang as part of a rejuvenated Everton team watch list. Yeah, James is still someone to keep an eye on, but with the amount of options there are this season in midfield, with the other kind of problems I have with my team, I'm not going to consider him right now. Calvert-Lewin, though, got my eye on him, definitely, especially with the double game weeks. Ninad says, I don't understand how we even top. Well, to be honest, it's a good run. United are unbeaten in 13 games since losing to Arsenal, and if you build runs like that, you're going to just shoot up the table this season. Liverpool have struggled for consistency. City have now started to get into it. And I do believe, the win against Villa was pretty much the 5th or 6th win in a row, which is pretty much the competition record this season. Because before that, the record was 4 wins in a row. No one could sustain 5 wins or more in a row. It's just so difficult this season. But if City win their game in hand, they go top. And to be honest, the only problem with them is no De Bruyne. But apart from that, City looks so strong. I wasn't aware of the card business. Still reluctant to move Bruno on. I have no Spurs at present. Yeah, I would like to get... Or I already have him. But in your case, I would try to get Son in. But I'd also try to have Bruno as well. I mean, with no De Bruyne as well, you can redistribute your funds across your whole team. And even on your bench. So I would try to have both of them. Son and Bruno. 2 of the best FPL assets this season. Captain Cancelo, says SM. Good luck. I mean, I have him as well, so I hope he does really well, and that would be great for both of us. But let's wait and see. John says only messing, but the rivalry, I have to say, the rivalry between Arsenal and United back in the day was just peak Premier League in my opinion. Hopefully we get something like that soon, because even City United or City Liverpool, maybe the quality is there, but not the passion, the aggression, But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Creswell's going to score a goal. I hope not. I'll be honest. I hope he doesn't. Hopefully a Sue foul, but. I have to wait and see. Played Antonio over Kane. Have I made a mistake? I mean, I wish I could tell you, but I'm not a fortune teller. It could be. I mean, benching Kane anytime could be a mistake. But to be honest, if I were to pick one, I'd probably go for Antonio this week. If I was, let's say, free hitting for an ideal team for Game Week 20, I would go for Antonio all day. So, yeah, hopefully that makes you feel better. We won't be top in a few hours. Because City played today. Yeah, I know, but then you got the game against Sheffield and you go back top. I know you obviously have the game extra compared to City, but yeah, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. I think United will still be in the title race by March or April. But yeah, I mean, also not being in Champions League, that kind of does help, being knocked out. Focus more on the Premier League. And yeah, I think Oli will prioritise. One thing I will give Oli credit for, because he is someone that I don't really rate, I'll be honest, but his rotation this year has been really good. The way he rotates the forwards, even the defenders, and he's got the best out of players like Shaw. You've got to give him credit. Will it be a long-term success? Will he win trophies, which is the ultimate goal? We'll have to wait and see. But probably the most promising United have looked since, Mourinho when they finished second? Or the first season when they won 2-3 trophies? But yeah, I mean, this is probably the best they've looked in the league since Ferguson, if we're being honest. That's some power play. Yeah, it is. I mean, benching Kane, that could cost him, but... Maybe not. What are your thoughts on Hakim Ziyech? I would not consider any Chelsea players at the moment until I see them play with Tuchel. But I think he will thrive under Tuchel. I think he will. Same with Werner and Havertz. And when I say thrive, maybe not thrive, but I think they will improve a lot. Is that saying much with how badly they were playing? Not really, but I think they'll get a reaction. Do I think Tuchel's going to ultimately win them trophies and be the man long term? I'm not so sure. And I just don't get with Chelsea. I mean, your point, Frank Lampard... does exceptionally well last season. He gets you to a cup final. He finishes top 4. And if you're going to hire an inexperienced manager like that, then give him time. I know they gave him a lot of money, but then again, were they his signings? Who knows? I mean, they have that director of football. I think it's Marina. They have a hierarchy. I don't think it's Lampard making the decisions. He's not the manager as such. He's the head coach. But yeah, I just... Give him time, An experienced manager, they're not just going to get things right. They're going to get things wrong along the way. And this was their first real bad patch. And if you don't remember, I mean, beginning of December, Chelsea were top of the league. In a month's time, what if United go on a bad run and they're in a similar position to Chelsea right now? I don't think it will happen. But, the league has been really volatile. I personally wouldn't have appointed Lampard in the first place. But then again, if I did appoint him, I would have given him at least until the end of the season. But that's Rome and Chelsea. They're ruthless, absolutely ruthless, United says, I'm going to get Werner next week. 2 points confirmed. I mean, just wait and see with Werner. See how he does against Wolves, if he even starts. But I have to wait and see. Don't lie, United are rubbish. Well, they've been doing well this season. I don't think they're great, I'll be honest. I don't think they're great. I think Bruno's the main difference. Without Bruno, I do think United go down a bit, but... Yeah, I think United will finish. My prediction, I can't even speak English, don't watch my videos. But yeah, my prediction before the season started was United finishing 3rd. And then when United were like 15th or whatever, they lost 6-1 to Spurs. I remember United fans telling me, you know what, I'm changing my prediction, I think we'll finish 11th or something. And then look where they are now. things can change very quickly. I think City look like the best right now. Is James Justin truly nailed, even with Pereira back into the equation? I could not tell you, Savage Ahmed. That's why I want to see what happens in the next few game weeks. But things can change so quickly. The thing with Justin is he's played 90 minutes pretty much every single game week, so it would be harsh to drop him, but who knows. Are you thinking about taking Bamford out for DCL as well? To be honest, yeah, I am. For the time being, I don't want to get rid of Kane. I don't want to get rid of Antonio. I know Bamford has double game weeks coming up, but if there was one, a sacrificial lamb to make way, it would be Bamford. But I'll have to wait and see. Let's see how Everton do in the Premier League. I know they look really good in the FA Cup, but let's see if they can translate their early season form into now, offensive-wise anyway, because they're still up there near the top of the table. Me too, I have Antonio and no Kane, yeah. Thing is, as soon as I got rid of Son, he got an assist, and to be honest, I should have kept Son in the first place, Son got 5 points, De Bruyne got 8 in Game Week 19. Oh my God. I took a -8 to make those moves. I'm taking a -8 to get him back in. It's an absolute disaster with De Bruyne. And he's someone I haven't been too keen on all season, but yeah, Son and Kane, I know the fixtures aren't great, but I still just prefer having both of them than none of them, to be honest. When do you normally stream, mate? Good question, John. 1 hour before the deadline, same with UCL Fantasy, so it ultimately depends. Let's see. I don't want the page to refresh. But yeah, so for example, we look at next week. So Game Week 21. Yeah, I'll be streaming at 10 a.m. I mean that's early, but yeah, I'll be streaming at 10 a.m. if you care to join me on the Saturday, on the 30th of January. And there's a lot of deadlines. I mean, look at this. This is what I was talking about at the beginning. Then look, just a few days later, the 2nd of February, another deadline. I'll be streaming there at 3:30, similar to today. And then you look at Game Week 23, the 6th of February, just 4 days apart. And I'll be streaming at 10 a.m. And then, yeah, then it becomes a bit more normal, a week's break in between. But yeah, these next few game weeks up until, let's say, Game Week 24, just coming thick and fast. But yeah, I always stream 1 hour before the deadline. Same with UCL Fantasy. Yeah, that's how I operate. Hopefully you like that. Cancelo to become the king of the game week. I hope so. I really hope so. I really rate Cancelo. I keep on saying that. And in my opinion, I don't want to sound woke. I think he's the best right back this season in the world. But let's wait and see. And thank you. Have a very nice voice. I mean, I hope so. But yeah. Moving on before it becomes awkward. Not bad for a PE teacher. You know what? The thing with this PE teacher nonsense, as soon as Lampard got sacked, what's trending apart from Oli and Arteta? PE teacher. And then it's just United fans saying, oh, look, who's the PE teacher now? Jesus Christ. I mean, football changes so quickly. I don't know if Lampard's a better manager than Oli. Obviously, this season, you have to say Oli's done better. But I think Lampard's, I think he's an intelligent guy. I think he has potential to be a good manager. But what Chelsea should have done, just like Liverpool have with Gerrard, give him time at another club, build his profile, build experience, improve, learn the ups and downs of football management, and then come back a better manager, better man, and then he'll probably be ready to do the job with Chelsea. I just think they shouldn't have appointed him in the first place, but because they did, they should have given him more time. But yeah. Yeah. Otinus, I agree, it's very soothing. Oh my God, just a critic, yeah. This guy, man. Come on. And you should think about doing ASMR. Yeah, maybe. That's a good point. Should I start Son or Kane? Is this for Game Week 20? Because the deadline has passed. I would have said Son. For Game Week 21, start both of them. Come on. Look at their fixture. Brighton away. Just start both of them. As for Game Week 20, though, I do back Son a bit more, just because of how Liverpool do play. With Trent, the way he bombs forward, the spaces he leaves in behind. I think there could be trouble for Liverpool. I actually fancy Spurs to win that. Antonio is unreal. A trimmed down version of Traore at Wolves. He'll be highly owned soon, especially after the brace at Palace. Yeah, I just hope he stays fit, because he always gets injured when he builds momentum. Beginning of the season, he was looking really good. Let's wait and see what happens. Yeah, I agree. Scrambler, start both. Yeah, Abubakar, I answered your question on Thomas Tuchel. Like I said, I think he's going to be decent. Do I think he's going to be ultimately successful? I don't think so. I don't know. If you would have sacked Lampard, I think Allegri would have been a better option, a better fit for Chelsea. I'm not too sure about Tuchel, but let's wait and see. Antonio will blank this game week, probably because I just got him in. Probably, Justin. Roman signed Ballack and Shevchenko against Jose's wishes back in the day, then sacked him. Yeah, that's true. But to be honest, those are two world-class players. Then again, Shevchenko flopped. Ballack was pretty decent. But yeah, Roman is absolutely ruthless, seriously. But we'll have to wait and see. You know what? Chelsea is a team I actually expected to finish 4th this season, or maybe 5th or something like that. They just haven't delivered at the moment, and it's going to be a struggle for them to enter the top 6, to be honest. But I still think it's possible. They're only a few points off top 4. A good run will change things for sure. They've got some good fixtures coming up. So I wouldn't completely rule out Chelsea, to be honest. But yeah, Roman, absolutely ruthless, man. 6.2 million in the bank. Could do Wilson to Kane or Soucek to Son next week. Thoughts? That's a tough one. I mean, I would probably... I think you've told me your team before, but I can't lie. I mean, there's so many teams that whiz through, and obviously I lose track of, who has who. But yeah, I would probably go for Soucek to Son, in my opinion. I do think Son, the next few games, we could actually do favour him a bit. The away ones anyway, when Spurs are going to be doing more counter-attacking. But the home fixtures is probably where you prefer Kane. But yeah, I'd probably get Son. Kudos for not going for Gundogan. He's just a FOMO pick. Oh, that's a bit awkward because he's someone I'm considering for next week. But yeah, I mean, Gundogan, that's the thing. I still think he's a good pick. I understand why people are going for him. But the benefit of not getting him yet is seeing how City respond and how they are structured without De Bruyne. And then having seen what they do against West Brom, which, to be fair, not a great game to analyse because West Brom are pretty poor. But you can judge a lot from that. You could see if Foden's a better pick. Maybe Bernardo's going to become a great asset now. Sterling. There's a lot of ways to go about it, so gotta wait and see. But I'm actually considering Gundogan for next week. Got Sheffield at home, then Burnley away. I think he's a great option for those 2 game weeks. I'm just happy I'll watch UCL again next season. I know Man City will win the Champions League. Or you're on about City winning the league. I'm not sure. I mean, I think City... I mean, they've had so many great players over the years, and to be honest, Pep has bottled it at times with his team selections against teams like Monaco and Lyon. Against Spurs and stuff, they've been unlucky, with decisions, but City should be doing better in the Champions League, and I do think they will reach a final at some point. Will it be with Pep? Who knows? But yeah. As for the Premier League, I do think they'll win it at this moment in time, but then again, a few weeks ago, I thought it was Liverpool, so we'll have to wait and see what happens. Lampard got the boot because of favouritism. Why not start Abraham and Giroud as part of a 4-4-2 form players? Yeah, to be honest, he always started Mount. He always gave his best, so you could see why he did that. What I don't really understand is Tomori. I think Tomori is actually better centre-back than everyone at the club except Thiago Silva and maybe Zuma. But he's better than Rudiger and all these players. Why did Tomori get loaned out? I don't get it. And Tomori was doing so well under Lampard, and then he just suddenly got dropped. And I remember that because I had Tomori in my team last season. Is Gundogan a good cheap replacement for KDB? I think so. But wait and see how they do against West Brom. Obviously, the deadline has passed. You either got him in or you haven't for Game Week 20. But just wait and see how they do. But I think he is a good replacement. But personally, I think the best overall replacement is Bruno. But most people have him already. So then I'd say Son or Grealish would be the next best things. Then there's the Leicester assets. There's Rashford when he's actually fully fit. And when you think he's going to start. Because I'm not sure if Rashford will start in Game Week 20, but we'll have to wait and see. I fear the gun dog, man. Yeah, Stephen, you've been at it all night with these with these kind of puns and play, or should I say wordplay? Yeah, wordplay. I need Kane to blank. Can't believe I'm facing a good dead account in the cup. Yeah, sometimes, these people who just leave their teams all season and they just rack up so many points. I mean, it is what it is, but I wouldn't worry too much. I think he can still win. Captaincy is going to be crucial, though, in who wins in that one. Do you reckon Chelsea will become good assets again soon? I think so. But it's going to take a lot to convince me to consider Havertz, Ziyech, Werner, because they've been poor for weeks and months, really. Ziyech has, he was doing well at a point, especially when Chelsea were going unbeaten and rising up the Premier League table. The other two, though, they've been horrific. I thought they'd do much better. But then you have Reece James, Chilwell. I think they're worth considering, but Zuma, in and out of the team, not too sure about him, but I think Reece James, Chilwell, keep an eye on them, and Ziyech for the time being. And if Werner starts firing a lot and Havertz, then maybe I'll consider them, but not for now. Definitely not. Do you prefer Son for Soucek or Kane for Adams? Yeah, I think it was you who asked the question. And yeah, I would have gone for Son for Soucek. Because of the fixture against Brighton, I do think it favours Son more. I think Brighton are going to be trying to control the possession. Spurs are just going to sit back and they're going to counter-attack. And Son, obviously, great in a counter-attacking team. Salah, Soucek to Maddison and Grealish. Whew, that's a tough one. I definitely do Soucek to Grealish. But Salah to Maddison, not too sure about that, if I'm being honest. I know maybe it's not a popular opinion right now. Most people would go for Maddison. I still prefer Salah. Best playing fifth midfielder? Probably Gundogan, if you can count him as that. And it's something I might do. So Gundogan comes in for Basuma. He'll be my fifth playing midfielder. Maybe Gundogan. But if you're looking at the cheaper ones like Soucek, Saka, Smith Rowe, I'd probably say Saka is the best one right now. Yeah, no problem, Abu Bakr. My last cup opponent, captain goalkeepers. He beat me though. Yeah, that was a great plot twist. Yeah. It is what it is. I mean, a lot of people, you know what they do? They captain someone, and then when they don't play, what do? They have Martinez as vice captain or something. And if you look at last week, Martinez actually got 9 points, so 18 overall. So he beat my captain, De Bruyne. But yeah, I mean, Pope and Martinez, they're actually not too bad captaincy choices, but for me, never. I've never captained a goalkeeper. Will I ever? Probably not. I mean, Sky Fantasy is the only time you could do that because obviously you can captain a single player for each day, and that makes more sense. But yeah, that's a different story. Let's see. Wow, there's still so many comments. I appreciate everyone who's still stuck by. I mean, the deadline has passed literally half an hour ago. Let's see the teams actually before I keep going through your final comments. Before wrapping up, I can't lie, my voice is going. But I'll keep on trying to go, and then I'll try heal my voice in time for my next few videos and streams. But let's look at the West Ham lineup. Actually, let's put it up here. West Ham. Let's see. Okay, I mean, is anyone interested in Palace? Whatever. I mean, just in case there's Palace fans watching. Yeah, Gaeta, Ward, Koyate, Cahill, Mitchell. Mitchell starting again. Well done. Eze, Milivojevic, sorry. MacArthur, Townsend, Benteke, and Zaha. Antonio starting. Thank the gods. Sufal starting as well. Creswell, Ogbonna, Dawson, Fabianski, Soucek, Rice, Bowen, Fornals, and Benrahma. That looks like a pretty good team, to be honest. A lot of creativity there, you know, with Fornals, Bowen, and Benrahma. Yeah, a bit of a shift from what they were playing against Burnley. And West Brom. Looks pretty good, to be honest. And I know I read it kind of in an unorthodox way, saying Antonio and Sufal first, but apologies, you know, I was looking out for my players, you know. Yeah, I'm a bit selfish that way. But yeah, and in terms of, did I even talk about it? I mean, wait, is this available now? Let's see. Their game's being updated, you cretins. Yeah, this is how I did for Game Week 19. I'm losing track of time, you know. Yeah, I got 104 points, a -8 hit. That's how I ended, you know, with Martinez getting 9 and Grealish getting 8. Could have been even more, but yeah, happy with that overall. To be honest, in hindsight, should have kept Son. Wouldn't have taken that many hits after that. And I would have actually got in an Antonio. And imagine adding that 18-point score to that and taking the hits away. Anyway, let's not think about the past. Let's think about the future. Think about the future. Let's see. I'll go through your comments now. And yeah. In UCL KO, do we get to change captain 4 times? I'll be honest. I mean, I haven't looked at the fixtures yet, but if they are on 4 separate days, so let's say games are being played on the Tuesday and Wednesday, and then the following week there's other teams playing on the Tuesday and Wednesday, then yes, you can captain someone on each day. You'll ultimately only have 1 captain for the game week, but you can change your captain up to 4 times if that's the case, and that's what's happened over the past few years in UCL Fantasy. Like I said before, it's a shame that Son is from South Korea rather than Japan, because we could have said the land of the rising sun and we made a tune out of it, like the New Orleans song. Yeah, that's pretty creative, Stephen. You've been creative all night. But yeah, to be honest, I've also heard something similar. I thought you were actually going to say something like if Son was English or Brazilian or German, you know, he would be rated so much highly, which might be true anyway. I thought that's where you were going, but I did not expect that. Best rank I've ever got so far. Hope I can stay there. Probably not. Yeah, I mean, onwards and upwards, that's how it is. And how old are you? I'm 21. Yeah, I'm 21. I'm a young guy. Congrats, man. That's a crazy score. Let's see. I'm doing well this season. Triple captain Antonio last week got 180 points. I'm currently in the top 1,100. Yeah, can we swap FPL accounts? That'd be great. But yeah, no, really good, really good. Yeah, you triple captain Antonio. That is a great, great shout. Well done, man. That's really good. No shocks in the lineups. Yeah, exactly. No shocks. And all our players are playing. That's the important thing, isn't it? Yeah, the lineups are out. Thank you, Marcus. Salah is still the top scorer, even though he's blank for 5. Never lose faith in Mo. I completely agree. And as I said before, free, yes, of his 13 Premier League goals have been assisted by other players. So the rest, if you actually break down the goals, some penalties, which don't count as official assists. Then you look at volleys against Everton, there's no real assist to that. Against Villa in the 7-2 defeat, I'm pretty sure his goals were, maybe one goal was assisted by Firmino, but the other one was pretty much his doing. So he's literally been feeding off scraps. But then again, against Newcastle in games like that, he has been missing chances. But Salah, in my opinion, he's the second best player in the league, and I don't want to get rid of him. So that's how I see it. And that's actually something interesting, I've been discussing with other people. Interesting to see, if we were to do a top 5 best Premier League players overall. So we're not looking at Kante in his prime and stuff like that. We're looking at now, but not necessarily just focusing on this season. Who are the best 5 players? But yeah, I still think Salah's easily top 3. Great player. And without him, I still think he's underappreciated at Liverpool. I think without him, just big difference with them. Who's your captain next week? Us looking further ahead. Hopefully I can actually show you. Are you serious? This game is just a joke. But anyway, Thanks for that. They actually did that. But anyway, my captain for next week. Moving on. To be honest, I think it'll be Son or Kane. Who will it be? I'm not sure. I might captain Son, but I think it's going to be one of the Spurs players because Bruno has Arsenal away. Doesn't have a great record against Arsenal, stemming back from his Sporting Lisbon days. Arsenal are a tougher team. They tend to beat United recently anyway. Salah, not too sure about him against West Ham. Normally I would captain him, but maybe he'll be my vice-captain. De Bruyne is obviously injured, so I'm not going to captain him. I might get Gundogan in for next week. I might maybe captain him if I want to be woke, so to speak, but I think I'll go for Son or Kane. That will be my captain. Yeah, I agree. The Scrambler. Bruno for PFA. Yeah, but then there's also Kane, to be honest. It will be Diaz. In my opinion, this season, Kane, Diaz have been the best players this season. Then there's Bruno, obviously. Salah was still one of the best players. I know recently he's been poor, but he's still top 5. Grealish is another one. But yeah, in my opinion, Diaz or Kane, and Son. How could I forget Son? But yeah, Diaz, Kane, probably my shouts for PFA right now. Bro, get face cam, dude. Maybe one day. People need to stop doubting Mo. I agree. But then again, if he's not getting the points and he costs 12.5 million, people are going to lose faith very quickly. When does FPL finish updating? That's a good question. Maybe 10 minutes before. Maybe not 10 minutes, but maybe around 5:30 or something. I don't know. They just take a long time, don't they? But yeah, it's too long, to be honest, if we're being. Steven Essential. His creativity is higher than KDB. Steven? Are you talking about Stevens from Burnley? I hope not, but yeah. Let's see. They normally update the draft teams first. I didn't know that. Thank you for that information, John. Yeah, draft, I've never played it. And I was invited to it, and I actually forgot to join it because I was on holiday at the time, and then in the end I didn't join it, and then people lost interest in it anyway. But yeah, I was adverse to Sterling before, but with the KDB debacle, I brought him in and captained him. Well, good luck. Some would say that that's a bold move, considering how he's done this season, but 5 goals, 5 assists in 17 games, not the worst. But let's wait and see what Sterling does. I do think he's got some holes in him in the next 3. But is he someone I want to bring in? No, not for me personally. I've got Son, I've got Salah, Grealish and Bruno. But yeah. When is Jota coming back? Good question. And he's actually coming back within the next couple of weeks, I think. So let's say by this time next month or early March, Jota should be back. As for Van Dijk, still a few months away, I think. Mendy or Schmeichel in goal. For this game week, probably Mendy. But yeah, 2 quite expensive keepers there to have, in my opinion. But yeah. Stephen from the YouTube live chat. Oh, my bad. I was being woke there, talking about Stephen. Who the? Yeah. Yeah, that's what the delay is. Yeah, completely agree. Until Liverpool sign a centre-back, they're going to struggle, I reckon. I completely agree. And they're also so important in their build-up. I was speaking about this earlier. And yeah, Van Dijk is such a difference. I mean, compare him to Reece Williams. I mean, Reece Williams did well against teams like Spurs and stuff, but against quick players like Rashford, he's going to struggle, and he did the other day. And yeah, Van Dijk is just desperately needed. Matip even makes a difference. Joe Gomez. But Van Dijk's the big miss, in my opinion. He's the biggest miss. And what a surprise that Thiago, in 5 starts, he hasn't won a single game. He's got 2 wins. Oh, 2 wins. That's stupid. He's got 2 draws and 3 losses or something like that. Completely poor. And to be honest, Thiago was someone I highlighted as, one of the ones to watch out for. I thought he'd be signing of the season. I got that one wrong. Going triple City defence, yeah. I mean, if there's any team to triple up on in their defence, it's City, but I think 2 is enough. But yeah, maybe it'll work out for you. I meant Man City winning the league. The world will end before Man City winning the UCL. I mean, I don't know about that. I think they have a chance, especially this season. I mean, you look across Europe, Bayern have been a bit iffy. Barcelona and Real Madrid are just poor. Atletico Madrid might have a shout, but nah, not for me. Juventus, they're poor in my opinion. They're a poor team. They're literally carried by Ronaldo. They got some good players in there, but they haven't clicked really so far this season. So then when I look at it, I think City are one of the favourites to win it. Liverpool, in a normal year with their best players, I think they're a strong contender, and they were showing their quality before the injuries. So yeah, I think City are definitely up there in my opinion. They're definitely right up there. Let's go all the way. I mean, yeah, I just hope not, because obviously I don't want Partey to regret going to Arsenal, and let's go win the double. But yeah, that's obviously a different kind of reasoning there. Do you watch any other FPL channels? I watch Let's Talk FPL, FPL Tips, and FF Scout. I do from time to time. I'll be honest, there's a lot of good FPL channels out there. There's also FPL Take the Hit. Don't know if you know about them, but they're a really good channel. Great energy as well. FPL TV is another good one. Yeah, and also, the podcast. So FPL Wire is a good one, and FPL Black Box. I'd recommend watching them. And obviously, this has been going on for some time now, 1 or 2 hours. They do similar things, streams of 1 hour and a half, and they produce some very good content. So yeah, I'd recommend those 2 on top of the ones you said, who are also very, very good. Bossing La Liga, there they are. They really are. But to be honest, I mean, I'm not taking credit away from them. Simeone is a top manager, but Real Madrid and Barcelona are so poor. Like, this is the poorest I've ever seen them, and yeah, I mean, just compare them to the years gone by. It's just a shadow of what they were before. Every year Man City have a chance, but still somehow manage to lose. I don't even know how. Something of a juju. Yeah, I mean, I already talked about it. A mixture of bad decisions from Pep with his lineups. I mean, I think he rested against Lyon when there was really no need to. Against Monaco, I think he also screwed things up. Against Spurs, I think he was unlucky, very, very unlucky. And I'm not saying that because I hate Spurs, but I generally do think, with the way it panned out with Sterling, with the offside goal, and then when you look at, what was the other one? The handball goal from Llorente and stuff like that. Very dubious, decisions. But Pep should be doing better. He's, in my opinion, one of the best managers of all time. Deserves more credit. And yeah, I think he has to win the Champions League with a team outside of Barcelona. Otherwise, people are always going to be saying, it's Messi who won you the Champions League, or Xavi, Iniesta, you inherited a great team. I disagree, personally, but yeah, Pep's a great manager. I do think he will reach the semi-final at some point with Manchester City. David Villa all over again. Yeah, David Villa was one of my favourite players growing up. Him, Casillas, Fabregas, I love that Spanish, generation. Obviously, Messi now, I used to hate him back in the day because he always scored against Arsenal, but, started to obviously appreciate him more, and especially playing for my national team. Barca gave Suarez to Atletico on free. Madness. I mean, that's just stupid decisions from Barcelona, I mean, they have been run like an absolute shit show, but it is what it is. They are where they are because of their board, because of the poor recruitment, and yeah, I mean, now Messi who would have thought Messi would want to leave Barcelona, but he still wants to leave, I reckon. What if I told you that Liverpool, Man City, Man United will all end up with the same points? Then I would say that is an incredible season, and who has the higher goal difference? That would also be my question. FPL Tips is a good gun. Yeah, he's probably like the biggest FPL YouTuber, and also probably in terms of animations and stuff, probably the most skilled. But yeah, very good, very concise as well. Different kind of style to mine, even though I can be concise. But he's literally snappy, short videos, straight to the point. But yeah, very, very good videos. Just imagine Cancelo as a midfielder who gets 4 points for clean sheets, going Cancelo over Gundogan there. Yeah, fair enough. But I don't like captaining defenders. I keep on saying it. There is obviously a debate to be had. I mean, look at Stones with 27 points and Diaz as well with 18, I believe. There is a debate to be had, but in a single game week, I would just prefer going for Bruno and, these sorts of players. That's my opinion anyway. FPL FY was good last season. Don't know if they're doing it this year. Yeah, I agree. Actually, that's another good one from the Fantasy Premier League YouTube channel. And yeah, I think it's because of coronavirus. I think ever since that happened, they've stopped making them. But yeah, that was a really good one. Pretty underrated. Got a bit of entertainment value to it as well. You're the only good one, I guess. No, definitely not. There's a lot of good ones, trust me. Take a look at all those I mentioned. They're very informative and they all have different opinions. And that's the good thing. I think I would recommend looking at different opinions, different YouTubers, because what I say, someone else might bring a fact or something else that obviously kind of contradicts what I say, but it will inform you more and then you can make a more informed decision with your team. So yeah, there's a lot of good FPL channels out there for sure. Calvert-Lewin in next week. I would wait and see how Everton do, Seth. But Calvert-Lewin, I have my eye on him. I definitely do. And by the way, this is not my team. It's just obviously I've kind of... Yeah, the site is still updating. I don't know why it takes so long. But yeah, Calvert-Lewin, keep an eye on him. And if not, Antonio, Kane, Bamford, they're all fine. But thank you to everyone who has been watching. And yeah, subscribe and like the video. It costs nothing. Really appreciate everyone who's still here. I mean, literally nearly an hour after the deadline. And let's see how West Ham do. Let's see how our players do. But yeah, I mean, follow my Twitter and Instagram as well if you want. On Twitter, I post regularly, and you can send your teams to both of those profiles, both of those applications, and I do respond. And yeah, thank you for tuning in. But I'll go through your last questions before wrapping up, and I really appreciate it. 70 people still here. Thank you, Caspiano, and yeah, wish you well for this game week. I agree about Cancelo captaining for game week 20. Let's hope for the best. Yeah, I mean, Cancelo, quite a few people captain them, believe it or not. Quite a few people. I've seen it from this live chat alone. He could be doing very well, but let's wait and see what happens. Nice one, man. Catch you next time. Thank you, John, and good luck for this game week. Apparently, Thomas Tuchel is already in London and will take part in the training today. Yeah, it seemed like they really wanted him for that Thursday. I keep saying Thursday. It's Liverpool. That Wednesday game against Wolves. Let's check just in case. What time is it for the Wolves game? 6 o'clock tomorrow. Yeah, they really wanted him for that. Let's wait and see how Chelsea react. Wolves are another team under pressure, Nuno, I know he's done a great job with Wolves, but this season he's gotten a lot of things wrong. So yeah, that's going to be a really interesting game, two struggling teams. And let's see the Tuchel effect. I already miss owning Dallas. He is playing as a midfielder today. Yeah, I got rid of him ahead of game week 19, I think. Yeah, I mean, he's probably someone who could do great damage. I hope he doesn't. But yeah, I mean, there's nothing you can do. It's outside our control. Do you think Bruno will be in contention for Ballon d'Or if he wins the Premier League and Europa League? I think he will be. Players like Messi, not at their normal level, I think. A lot of injuries as well. So yeah, I mean, if you're looking at the best players so far, probably Lewandowski. De Bruyne was starting to get into form. He's another one. Bruno, Ronaldo. Messi this season, I don't know. This is probably one of his weakest seasons in a long time. But every other year, in my opinion anyway, Messi's a clear winner. And he should win all of them. But yeah, this year, I think Bruno has a chance anyway. If he keeps up this form. But let's wait and see. And to be honest, I actually think Diaz deserves a mention as well. I mean, if you look at Van Dijk's, impact on Liverpool, I mean, look at Diaz on City. Absolutely incredible, to be honest. It's time for Werner to deliver. It's been a long time for him to deliver. That's 16 games that he hasn't scored in. Let's wait and see what he does. One of the best, you might benefit viewer-wise by including FPL in your name. And yeah, that's something I've considered. Thank you, Stephen. And yeah, thank you to everyone who has been watching. And on that note, I will be thinking over that. And appreciate everyone who's joined in. I will be streaming for Game Week 21 and also for UCL Fantasy, which is coming up in a few weeks. And more videos, including previews and stuff like that for Game Week 21. But until next time, all the very best and good luck with Game Week